and it's not a fight because I don't have to internalize racism. There has never been a white man that's disrespected me that I haven't disrespected back right then and there. So I've never had to really internalize that, but I know a lot of people do. And I can understand being triggered. And the thing is for us to work every day so that we don't have to be in the situation to be triggered, so that we can avoid those situations and have options. And I just think that's important. I think the narrative has to change. I feel like, the way we look at entertainment, the things that entertain us aren't entertaining us right. The distraction doesn't help. And I feel like if we're going to escape, if we're going to, be entertained, it should be something that's going to evolve us. And that's what I'm doing with my platform. I really want to evolve us. And if I have a platform, which I've been working so hard for.
Is this in here?
No corona.
Yeah. This is the new one?
A platform that I've been working to showcase our point of view because we don't have a platform, not a television network, where we can have our agendas. That's what I've been working so hard for, is so that we can have a platform for our voice from our people so we can heal our way. And I don't have any expectation of anybody giving me nothing I never had. I really haven't. I have expectation of myself to go out and get it.
This is the hair.
And not let anybody control my destiny ever. And to me, that's what's great about America, is that if you really want to fight, you can for your independence. And that's what I've been preaching. Economic independence is the only kind. That's the freedom. Having ownership, to me, is what gives you, it makes it where you can actually avoid racism on certain levels. Like, people could think what they want, but they can't affect me. And, if I'm not driving, the cops have no reason to talk to me, period. But I do think people that are aggravated are ones that aren't economically comfortable. And I think the answer to this is we have to make ourselves economically comfortable. We have to make a world where our children go into where we could practice some nepotism. We have something to pass. But that doesn't get given to you. It never will. Independence is not given. You have to take it.
That's Friday.
It's 5 o'clock now.
Yeah, I know.
What's wrong? What's the matter?
The way you started talking about the phone.
I want to start. We start plugging up the Zoom. So we're gonna get this Zoom going. I don't want to be late. Nicolette's helping me out. It's crazy. I'm outside and I'm driving through.
I don't know.
And I'm seeing protesters. They all white. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing unless they start rioting. But again, this is affecting everybody, all social. I think it's a social thing, a social class thing. You know what I mean? That's what I think. And I think these triggers are intentional. They know what causes chaos. This has happened before. The thing I'm more aggravated about is that this shit happened 30 years ago. And it was a riot. And that's not the answer. It doesn't change anything. It does bring awareness, though. And I'm hoping some laws get passed. But what are the laws we want passed? That's my question. What are the laws?
You said it was done, so I'm just going to follow that. Right?
Okay, well, let us focus on getting this done right now. And I hope everybody has the patience and understands, this should be a form of entertainment, but we learn and evolve from it. You know, when you get on my live, that's what this is for, evolution. That's it. To be positive, to be strong, have some answers, you know. Stimulate a conversation, but from that conversation should come a plan. And I think some therapy is really, really necessary right now. What's going on here on the Zoom?
It's got 30 minutes on this part.
People coming in?
Here they come.
Yeah, they come. So yeah, people are loading up now. You know, we got the Bishop Pennell coming through. We got his sister, the Doc, she coming through. We got Taj.
Here, put this somewhere.
OG Daniel's supposed to come through. There you go, there's Taj right there. What's up, Taj? I don't think you can hear me. Can they hear me? So we setting it up now.
Say hello.
What's up, bro?
Yo, what up?
What's good? Can we set this up?
Yeah.
Your batteries, you got your batteries all charged up? Charger?
Yeah, I'm on the computer.
Where's Nicolette?
She's getting another memory card.
I'm gonna try to set this up. I'm glad we're doing this, bro. Well, you know, I like the fact that we talk about things and then we actually do things. And Melody, I don't know if I should call her Dr. Melody or what I should call her, but her getting the cops, you know, that's a big deal. The police. You know? So we letting people in now. Oh, wow. We got, you know, I see all type of people up in here. This is beautiful. I see Dennis from Off School Grounds. What's happening, Dennis?
Off School Grounds basically is a coalition of some 70 to 90 principals throughout the country that get together every week to discuss, you know, some best practices and kind of share some remarkable ideas with one another. In addition to that, obviously, you know, we support the movement that Dame is discussing tonight. So what you'll see throughout the room, you know, you'll see dozens of principals who are represented from New York, New Jersey, South Carolina, and other places throughout the country. So that's really it in a nutshell. We're just some dope principals just getting together and trying to make a difference.
And the key word that I think, black principles, you know,
Yes.
And the reason why that's important is because a lot of the principles that I'm seeing are coming from where I'm from, understanding how we need to be taught. And they're dealing with it independently sometimes when they don't get the support. And you guys have become that support to each other. And I just think it's really powerful. And this conversation can't be had without the perspective of education, you know?
No doubt. Thanks for that, Dave.
No doubt. Taj.
Is everybody here? I see Melody's here.
Oh, Melody. Yeah, I'm going to let y'all run it, you know, and introduce it. I just want to say I appreciate everyone for coming on. Therapy to me is important. I have a friend, Taj, that's a therapist. So every conversation is therapeutic. And I've made a point to talk to him once a week publicly. And I just think it's cool to, if you have an issue, to deal with it intelligently. And also, Taj's perspective is different because his research, he does the traditional research, but the traditional research doesn't involve black people so much. It's a different experience that they're learning from. He's coming from the black experience, you know, and the therapy that's needed in that way. And he talks to me in the language I understand. So, again, introduce yourself and then a Melody introduce and y'all can take it away. And I appreciate everybody.
Yeah, we could just go ahead, Taj. You can go ahead and while I'm still trying to.
Okay.
There is
I'm Taj. You know, people call me Tajay. I'm a marriage and family therapist, doctoral candidate as well. And like Dame said, you know, I'm from LA. You know, I'm from the hood. I lived the life that comes with living in the hood, from, the gang life to the hustling to the being locked up to everything that comes with it.
Ask Akamas.
I've been lucky enough to survive these circumstances and to change my life around and try to be of service to the people that were coming up as myself. So with that in mind, I also want to let Melody go ahead and introduce herself, and then we'll get into the introductions with everybody in a minute. We just want to kind of lay some ground rules because we're trying to do this, like the flyer said, in the lens of therapy and, in the lens of how we would do it in a group session, so that everybody gets their equal respect and, in their time to talk. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let Melody take over and to introduce herself and kind of lay some of the ground rules for this. Melody, you ready?
Yes. Am I being heard clear?
Yes.
Hear me clear, guys?
I can hear you.
I can hear you clearly.
I know my mic was acting up before. Okay, so my name is Melody Centeno. I'm a New York State licensed master social worker here in New York City. And my background is just looking for therapeutic ways to kind of help people express themselves. And just to, I own a foster care agency where we do a lot of therapeutic services, but I also do a lot of consultant work, if you will, around therapeutic programming. And so, I'm a dean consultant for Sheepshead Bay High School on how to change school culture from a therapeutic perspective. And so I'm oftentimes always called in as a therapeutic consultant that can help what's going on to practice kind of like the spirit of inclusion and kind of help people express themselves in an effective way. So with everything that's going on, this situation occurred where I was contacted by one of the lieutenants that I'm close to, who had some feelings about what was going on. And so that then transferred over into being in a group chat with several group chats with several officers who wanted to express themselves as well. Some of them are not okay either. And so oftentimes, especially with everything that's going on now, people kind of group everyone. And sometimes grouping people is not the most healthiest tactic, because then you start to take things out on people that don't deserve it, or, you know what I'm saying, you start to stigmatize. And so part of the reason why we're doing this is to bring people together from all sides. You'll see tonight that there's going to be protesters in this room who are for looting. You're going to see tonight that there is protesters in the room that are for a peaceful protest. You're going to see clergy in here. You're going to see governmental officials. You're going to see officers in here who just really want to express themselves, and we need to release. We just transitioned from a pandemic where we were forced to stay inside that invoked a lot of mental health things for us as a people, to then automatically be thrown into a crisis. And we need to be able to process our feelings. We need to be smart and intelligent with how we go about things. And we need to start to engage in the conversation. Everyone has picked a side in everything that's going on, and no one's talking to each other. And so I think the key thing that we have to do tonight is just to really model how to effectively communicate when you have a side or you have an opposition. Everyone has reasons as to why they feel the way that they do. And some people need to hear those reasons. And then from there, we can start to then come up with steps. It's not, let's go do this and not have the conversation. You can't skip the conversation. You have to be willing to have the conversation first. And just to process and to de-escalate our emotions in general is what tonight is for. So because our emotions are temporary, and so our emotions dictate our actions. And sometimes we make permanent decisions for temporary emotions. And I think that's what's happening with everyone here in the world. They're emotional, they're hot, they're confused. And so we want to bring a platform together that can walk you through from being confused to gaining clarity in a healthy way, if that makes sense.
Just one thing, when you want someone to talk, you need to tell us so we can highlight them so they could be on the screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So again, it's on you. Let's go. It's on you.
Okay. So what I want to do first before we start is just get some ground rules in place. So I'm going to read off some of the ground rules. It was sent to a lot of people who were participating, but I know we sent out a lot of information, so people may not have had time to really go and sort through it. So we want to make sure that we go over those ground rules as a collective, okay? So ground rule number 1, panelists will agree to taking turns when speaking, and they will try to not interrupt each other. I say that if you're not speaking, your mic needs to be on mute, just to avoid distractions. And if you are speaking, then you can come and unmute and then say your piece. Panelists will agree to call each other by first name, not he or she or any worse or any derogatory names towards one another. Panelists will agree to express themselves in terms of their needs and their desires and the outcomes that they wish to create. Panelists will agree to listen respectfully and sincerely to try to understand each other's needs and interests. Panelists will agree to recognize that even if they do not agree with someone, they are entitled to their own perspective. Panelists will agree to avoid dwelling on things that do not work in the past and instead focus on the future that they want to create. Panelists will agree to make a conscious and sincere effort to refrain from an unproductive argument, venting, or narration, and agree to use our time in this mediation session to work towards what we perceive to be is constructive. Panelists will agree to speak up if something is not working for them in this session. Panelists will request a break if helpful. Panelists will agree to point out if they feel that the mediators tonight is being impartial as to person and neutral as to result. Any means of breaking ground rule will warrant an automatic termination and dismissal from the platform by the administrator. So you being on here means that you are committing to these ground rules. And so the point of all of this is to effectively respect and to really just model to other people out there in the world how this can be done. Okay? So I want to start with some introductions because we don't know who everyone is here. Okay, so if you can, just state your name and your either position, whether you're an officer, clergy, community member, protester, so forth and so on. And we have 39 people now, so I'm hoping by this time we have everyone on here that should be in the room.
Melody, real quick.
Yes.
I don't know if Dame or you, because it might be in different orders as to how everybody's pulled up on the Zoom. So I don't know if you want to be able to, if you see somebody kind of call on them and then introduce them, because I don't know if the order is the same for everybody.
That's fine. So you know what we'll do? I'll call them from name since I'm looking here. Christine Raymond, please introduce yourself.
Christine Raymond.
Hi, my name is Christine Raymond. I am a music teacher in the Bronx. I teach elementary school, and I also lead an orchestra in my area. So that's me. Hi, everybody.
You play the position of the educator. Thank you so much, Christine, and welcome. Hale Rothstein, please unmute your mic. You're muted, Hale. We'd love to hear your beautiful voice.
Hi, peace everyone. My name is Malika. I'm actually a makeup artist with film and television. I am using Hale Rothstein's computer. I'm a guest of Principal Akbar.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Danielle Alexander, please unmute your mic and introduce yourself and your position, title.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Danielle Alexandra, and I'm a criminal court officer in the Bronx. I live in the Bronx, and I have 4 adult children, 2 boys and 2 girls.
Thank you, Danielle, and welcome. I have here next Bishop Purnell. Could you please introduce yourself?
Greetings, everyone. Bishop Purnell, Bet Hashem Yahweh, Episcopus Worldwide Ministries in Newark, New Jersey, and we're all overseas. I'm pleased to be here.
being with us. Dame Dash, we know who you are. If you want to reintroduce yourself, you can. And your position on this matter.
Dame Dash, chairman of Dame Dash Studios in Poppington.
Welcome. Marcus, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself for the people.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcus Durham. I'm a captain for the New York State Courts. I'm also the director of Leo Hearted Cares, which is a nonprofit organization, and also a father of 5.
Awesome. It's so important to state just that you're a parent because our children are watching us, and so it's very important that we model and kind of pave the way for them. So thank you for highlighting that. Dennis, could you please, Dennis McKenzie, sorry if I mispronounced your name, could you just please reintroduce yourself and your position this evening?
Yeah, Dennis McKenzie, educator, entrepreneur, business owner.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome, Dennis. Councilwoman Farah Lewis, if you could just unmute your mic and introduce yourself and your position here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Councilmember Farah Lewis. I represent the 45th Council District in Brooklyn, which represents
You're coming in and out with reception, Farah.
Flatbush, East Flatbush, Flatlands. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, I'll do it again. Good evening, everyone. My name is Councilmember Farah Lewis. I'm a council member from New York City. I represent the 45th District in Brooklyn, which includes Flatbush, East Flatbush, Midwood, Flatlands, Canarsie, and Marine Park. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for introducing yourself, and shout out to Canarsie. That's where I'm from. Arthur Brady, could you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Peace, everyone. My name is Arthur Brady III. I'm a United States federal officer in New York City. Thank you for having me. Thank
you so much, and welcome. Anario Shapara, could you please unmute and introduce yourself for the people?
Sure. My name is Minister Honorio Chaparro. I serve full-time at the Christian Culture Center, multi-site church, and I'm born and raised in East Flatbush.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I love your background. I could definitely tell where you're from. Quentin, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the people.
Greetings, folks. My name is Quentin Walcott. Everyone calls me Q. I'm an anti-violence educator and activist. I'm also the co-executive director of Connect NYC here in New York.
Awesome. Thank you and welcome. Stephen, Pastor Stephen Carter, could you please introduce yourself and your position here tonight for the people?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephen Carter, and I'm the pastor of Mount Ara Church in Brooklyn, New York, Ocean Hill, Brunswick.
Awesome. Thank you so much and welcome. Dr. Anissa Riley, if you can just unmute.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Anissa Riley. I'm the principal of an elementary school in the Bronx, and I'm also a woman of faith and a mother of 4 black babies. Thank you.
Awesome. Taj, if you could just reintroduce yourself for the people who just swooped in.
Oh, yes. My name is Taj. Some people call me Tajay. I am a therapist. I'm also a doctoral candidate. I will be a doctor next year. Specialize in clinical psychology and, again, marriage and family therapy. From Los Angeles, representing the Los Angeles greater area. From the neighborhood, from the hood. Changed my life around. Was lucky enough to survive all the traps that were set, like I said. And just happy to be here to help change people's lives and change the way things have been going as of late. And it's a real pleasure to be here with all y'all. You know, especially the fact that we got so many different parts of the country represented. I love that. And I'm also going to be co-facilitating with Melody. So it's a pleasure to meet all of y'all, everybody that just tuned in.
Thank you so much. And welcome. And thank you.
I'm a parent of 2 too. Shouts out to my kids.
Awesome. Chelsea, if you could just unmute and introduce yourself, and let's move a little quickly because we have a lot of people in here. 40. Let's go.
Yeah, sure. Hey, I'm Chelsea Grayson. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's a real privilege. I was born and raised here in Los Angeles. I'm a mother to an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. I was previously the CEO of American Apparel and True Religion, but before all of that, I was a partner at a law firm for 20 years. So I've recently become certified by the National Lawyers Guild to be a legal observer at protests, and I can also represent arrested protesters.
Amazing.
Also, she has two black. Her children are black.
Awesome. Thank you for the preference.
Thank you.
We have here, goodness, Juanita.
Hi, tonight I'm Juanita. I'm an educator, a mother of 2 young kings, and former correctional officer and minister.
Awesome, welcome. John English.
Good evening, everyone. John English, Principal, Cicely Tyson Community School of Performing and Fine Arts, grades 6 through 12, East Orange, New Jersey, married, father of 3. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Chris Purnell.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Chris Purnell. You can call me Dr. Chris. I am a public health and preventive medicine physician. I am a hospital administrator in chief. I'm at a hospital in Newark, New Jersey, a professor, as well as an ordained apostle in Bet Hashem Yahweh. Native of East Orange and currently living in Montclair.
Thank you so much and welcome. Laz Elliott. Lays. Name.
Peace, y'all. My name is Lays Elliott from the world famous MOP, one of Brownsville's finest. I'm here on behalf of the off-school grounds crew and my brother Damon Dash. Salute.
Awesome. Thank you and welcome. Dr. Malik Small.
You gotta, doctor, you gotta unmute your feed there, sir.
Sorry. Good evening. I'm Dr. Malik Small, our principal, middle school principal in East New York, Brooklyn, husband and father of one 19-year-old black man.
Awesome. Thank you and welcome. Dupree.
Good day. How you guys doing? Dupree Kelly, better known as Do It All, from the legendary hip-hop group Lords of the Underground, activist, and co-founder of 211 Community Impact right here in Newark, New Jersey.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Principal Akbar.
Good day, everyone. Principal Akbar. I am part of the OSG crew that's on here. I'm also the principal of Northwest Side High School. My school gained national attention for being the first school to put a free laundromat for kids that were staying home because they didn't have clean clothes. Got us on Ellen, and then Oprah came and dropped off $500,000 to my Lights On program, which takes kids off the street from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. in the summer and give them something to do and be safe. So thank you for having me.
Amazing. Thank you, Mr. Akbar. Mr. Moody.
Peace and blessings, family. Zatini Moody, principal of the Al Moody Academy from Patterson, New Jersey, father of 3, and vice president of the Brothers Organization of Patterson, Brothers standing for brothers reaching out to help everyone rebuild self, and a proud member of the OSG Principals Group with Brother Dennis McKeegan. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And shout out to Patterson. I lived in Patterson for a couple of years, so shout out to Patterson.
Awesome, awesome. Galaxy S10. I'm sure it's not your name, but let's go. Galaxy S10. Green. Awesome. I just want to say thank you, officers, for coming in and just really also just taking out the time to just tell us how you're feeling right now. Raven Askew.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Raven Askew. I'm the proud principal of PS 354, the Jermaine L. Green STEM Institute of Queens in Jamaica, New York. I'm also a mother of 2, and I'm the wife of a New York City police sergeant.
Okay. Just thank you so much and welcome. Mr. Pierre, Jesu Pierre.
Good
evening, guys. My name is Joseph Pierre, but you guys can call me Josh since we're going by first names. I'm a Democratic State Committeeman out in New York State, Flatbush, Brooklyn. Happy to be here. I'm looking forward to a nice discussion with people from my community across the country. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Kyle Brown.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Brown, proud principal of Newark Vocational High School in Newark, New Jersey, father of 3 boys, also a proud member of All School Grounds, and definitely a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Welcome. Ms. Davis. Fia Davis. You have to unmute.
Very good pronunciation. Good evening, everyone. I am Fia Davis. I am a principal of a 6 to 12 in Queens here in New York City. I am also a proud member of Off School Grounds. Happy to be here.
Awesome. I also don't hear any protesters in the building yet, so I'm just double texting if you guys see me looking down, just to make sure that they are represented. Like we practice the spirit of inclusion, and I want to make sure that everyone is in the building. Tawana.
Daniel in there?
Disappeared.
Daniel?
She disappeared. You have to unmute Tawana. You have to unmute Tawana. You're still muted, Tawana. We're going to pass so that you can work on your mic, and we'll come right back. Kanima.
I'm here.
Okay, Tawana.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm really not tech savvy. That's not my strong point. My name is Tawana Johnson. I am currently a New York State court officer. I'm a former New York State correction officer. I work in Queens, but I was born and raised in Brooklyn. I'm also a proud member of Leo Hearted. It's a mentoring service. And I am a proud mom of a beautiful Black boy. He's 18 years old. He just turned 18. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Kanima. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Kanima Raymond. I am an educator in Far Rockaway, Queens. I currently live in Jamaica, Queens. I have 2 15-year-old girl and an 8-year-old girl. And I just want to say thank you to Dennis for inviting me.
Awesome. Thank you and welcome. Anisha Jacko.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm here by way of OSG, Dennis McKeezy. I am a proud principal and director of early childhood in Manhattan at the 3rd largest pre-K center in the city. I am a wife for 10 years, a mother of 2 boys, a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. I'm currently in seminary and a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Awesome. Diversity of representation here tonight. Simone.
Hello, everybody. Good to see everyone and some of you again. I am Simone Nicholas. I am a principal of a school 3K through 8. It serves 11 grade bands that is located in Far Rockaway, New York. Shout out to Far Rockaway. I am also the wife, and we're in a blended family of a NYPD school safety agent, as well as the mother and bonus mother of 4 college-age children, 3 of which attend HBCUs. I'm a proud member of Off School Grounds. I also want to make a shout out to, I see my Christian Cultural Center, one of my ministers, Minister Shapiro. I know I saw you there for a second. Just want to notice you and acknowledge you, give you a shout out. I am Dave Dash's unofficial little sister that is thorn in his side. And lastly, I'm also a member of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, as well as the National Council of Negro Women. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Vincent. Officer.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Vincent. I'm an officer with the New York State Courts, currently assigned to the Academy, where I hold the rank of lieutenant. I'm also the founder and executive director of Leo Hearted Cares, and I hope that we have a fruitful night. Hope that everybody's doing well as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Marie. Disforges.
Hi,
everyone. Good evening. I'm Marie DeForge. I am the principal of PS 328 in Brooklyn, New York, East New York, Brooklyn. And I'm here by the guest of Dennis McKeezy, wonderful Dennis McKeezy. Thank you so much for having me, and it's definitely a pleasure to be here. And I look to learn and hear a lot from so many different voices in the room.
Thank you so much and welcome. Randy Gordon.
Hey, good evening, everybody. See, I have some video issues here. But my name is Randy Gordon. I'm a social worker. I work with the Office of Mental Health. I'm also one of the co-founders of Leo Hearted Cares. I'm the director of social outreach. Glad to be on this chat with you guys this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Wooten Johnson.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Keoki Wooten Johnson. I'm the proud principal of Village Charter School here in Trenton, New Jersey. I've been a principal for 11 years now. We service students K through 8 in the great city of New Jersey.
From other members of the Congressional Black Caucus, the Congressional Hispanic Caucus.
Somebody, can somebody mute your, if you're not talking, you can please mute your mic.
Native Americans.
There you go, thank you.
Oh, I was like, what happened to my voice?
Being participants after 50, let's lock the room and not let anyone else in. We're going to be here tonight.
Okay. Hi, my name is Janice McQueen. I am the assistant principal at Vista Academy Middle School in Brooklyn, and also a mother of 2, a military vet, and a 17-year-old high school graduate.
Thank you so much. Ms. Elman.
Yes, good evening. Shawana Elman, New York City principal. I'm a mother of 2, grandmother to 4, and I'm here by way of Dennis McKeezy.
Thank you so much. Ms. Joanne Pillard.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanne Pillard. I'm with the Council Member Farrah Lewis District 45 office. I'm the Visual Communications Director there, and I'm also a minority and women-owned business owner.
Awesome. Retired Correctional Officer Desiree. I believe it's Desiree.
Yes, I'm Desiree Lawrence, retired for 2 years. I worked for 23 years, Rikers Island, as well as Queens Courts. I'm a mother of one 14-year-old, but a community mother of many. And I thank you for allowing me to be here.
Nicolette. Oh, Nicolette, admin, but I guess you can introduce yourself.
No, that's me. That's
so
me.
You're just on as an admin. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Jabari.
Good evening, everyone. Jabari Edwards. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Good evening, everyone. Jabari Edwards out of Brooklyn, New York, representing PS 328 Phyllis Wheatley School in East New York, Brooklyn. I'm definitely, I'm happy to be in a call. I'm representing OSG, which stands for Off School Grounds. I'm happy to be here and can't wait to get this conversation rolling.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Reverend Glover.
Good evening. My name is Shalise Glover. I am a mother of 6, a grandmother of 11. I am ordained clergy and I serve in Harlem, New York at Rejoice Ministries. I am also a mental health counselor and a licensed associate counselor, also a national counselor, and I also serve at the Al Moody Academy, and I am the guest of Principal Moody. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. It's Smitty.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Harain Smith, a 17-year-old young lady, screenwriter, playwright, educational technologist at East New York Middle School of Excellence in Brooklyn with Dr. Small, part of the Olive Street Network with Akbar, Dennis, and Malik. Thanks for being here. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Kyle, did we skip you? Kyle Brown, did you speak?
Yes, I did. I introduced myself. Thank you, though.
Okay. June. June, you have to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
How you doing? My name is June. I work for Verizon. I'm a Verizon Field Tech, and I'm also a contractor for FedEx. My friend Jabari Edward, the principal, he invited me to this forum. And, I've always been, interesting as far as me and my friend talking about political stuff that's going on among the blacks, among our people, I should say. And it's a very sad time and concerned time for all of us. So I'm all ears. I want to listen to different ideas and how we can move on. And I guess be better after this, we need a resolution from this, so.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
iPad, black shirt. Okay, Tawana, that's Tawana. Okay, I think we're almost done here. A lobby.
Hi, my name is Eliason Alabi. I'm a dean at PS224 in Brooklyn under the leadership of Ms. Michelle Hines, invited by Dennis McKeezy, off school grounds. I am from Brooklyn by way of Nigeria, and I'm just here to help come up with solutions and things that will help our scholars as well as our community to better ourselves during this time. Thank you for having me, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that's all of our introductions. Has everyone spoken? If you have not spoken, please step to the front of the congregation. Just joking. Please introduce yourself now, but I believe I got everyone. I'm also looking at the chat if anyone needs to either state a question or if you need to leave early. I know some people had to go to other meetings too. Just put it in the chat so we make sure that we hear from you before you go. Okay, so I guess that's it. I want to start out by asking, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? If you're ready to just speak, I could see everyone on view. Just go like this. Go ahead, Damon.
Personally, I'm confused because I know how I feel, but I know what's needed right now. And, I just don't know what advice to give. Some important people have been calling me for advice, and I really don't know what to tell them to do because I'm a man that wants to come with solutions. I don't like to aggravate a situation by saying things that everyone already knows without a solution. Overall, I'm confused.
Thank you. If anyone wants to speak, just go like this. I can call on you because we won't be able to tap on everyone. Josh, Pierre.
It's a mixture of anger, but not confusion, and there's a whole lot of clarity because at some point, I started to see this stuff since I was maybe 12 years old, starting with Abner Ulima and Amadou Diallo. It's almost like watching a movie play itself out over again. It's like, at what point do we get past this point? So that's how I feel right now.
Awesome. Chris Purnell.
Hi, yes. I feel determined as a health equity doctor whose work is consumed with working on anti-Black racism in healthcare and looking to build whole communities. I am galvanized. I am galvanized for the need for there to be a resolution, for there to be collective action, for there to be a new America. I'm galvanized to uproot racism at the root and to look for systemic action. So I'm looking to build with other thought leaders, thinkers, and doers.
Pastor Stephen Eugene Carter.
I'm betwixt because a lot of times as pastors, people always come to us for guidance. And the challenge is when they come into you for direction, not realizing that you're experiencing the same pain and confusion that they are, trying to find out which shores to take, which direction to take. But at the flip side, I'm still empowered to be able to encourage people that we need to move forward with an agenda and with action that will ultimately glorify God, but again, liberate us and empower us.
Awesome. Councilmember Farrah Lewis.
So initially, to echo some of the sentiments of our public advocate, I wasn't okay. I was very conflicted. But as the last speaker spoke, I think we have an opportunity here to change a lot of things that we see happening in New York City, but it's going to take all of us to work together. I think we have an opportunity to show leadership and to work in a space like what's here today, where we have parents, we have law enforcement, we have teachers, entertainers, social workers. So I think a collective voice, but collective action of the folks that are represented here tonight can actually change how the city of New York is moving right now.
I saw Anisha Jackson.
Yes, Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
I'm feeling disappointed, and I'm disappointed because I know I have ignored a lot of things that now I'm forced to face, and I'm disappointed, and I'm confident that now that I'm awoke, I'm up, I'm ready. So disappointed for not stepping up earlier, and now aware.
Thank you for sharing. John English's camera isn't working, but he says, I'm angry. But more, I'm heartbroken that this is something that has to be explained to my children and my students. It's sad, disheartening, and tiring. From the chat box.
I had a question. Is there anybody that's having trouble or feels conflicted, like, where they're, might be confused as to, which side, or if there is a side, things like that? I saw a hand. iPad. You have to unmute. There you go.
Yes, it's me, Tawana. I'm not sure why my name is not coming up. Once again, I'm an officer, but yet I'm a Black woman. So I've been conflicted. Like I go back and forth because I've been constantly saying I've been an officer for years, but I've been Black my entire life. Yet I hate the whole cliche, I'm one of the good ones, because we should all be a good officer at the end of the day. But I've been feeling conflicted. It's really hard to balance, being Black and blue. It's hard. So that's I'm conflicted, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm scared. I'm scared for all those young men. Like, I'm calling them our foot soldiers right now because I believe they're helping to gain attention and momentum for the movement so we can be heard, so we can do platforms like this. I'm very excited about that. So I'm excited because we are finally being heard. I also feel powerful in this moment. I feel blessed too. I feel humbled by everyone that's on this platform that's sharing, and it's exciting to see that we're all coming together regardless of whether we agree or disagree, but we're together, and our main mission is to push forward for justice. That's my feelings. I have definitely been conflicted.
I think it's a very valid point. I think a lot of us are feeling conflicted, but the one key thing that you did bring up that I think will ring with a lot of people is that, we may disagree, but part of the point of doing these things is that we can teach others and teach ourselves how to be able to communicate effectively, even with things that we disagree about and things that we're passionate about. So
absolutely,
very good point.
Thank you.
Quentin Walcott.
Yeah, the phone's ringing.
I appreciate the question, Mel, because it's you don't really tap into how we're feeling. We automatically go into what needs to happen, what we need to do. And I'm feeling a lot of things. I'm holding a lot of things. I'm feeling anxiety. I'm actually scared to one level, but then I'm also hopeful. But I'm also crystal clear on what the issue is. And Mel, I love you to death, but the question around not kind of lumping everybody into one kind of view or position, I struggle with, because ultimately I think it's a problem when we just kind of see it as, oh, this is just one person, it's one incident, one case, when it's a systemic issue. And I think, and I appreciate the officers and the law enforcement on the call, but I really struggle with the idea that the police and this system is like ingrained with racism. And I know you all in tough positions because you have to kind of work within that system. So that's very unfortunate. But from my point of view, the change or the transformation or the has to be within that system, because it's perpetuating racism, and it's really targeting Black and brown folks in our communities.
Hey, if I could just quickly jump in, I'm sorry, I had my hand raised for a little while, but yeah, I don't mean to barge in, I'm sorry, but I think conflicted is the key word. As an educator, as a father, as a Black man in America, and similarly to what they mentioned, I'm usually an individual that other individuals look to for answers. And being unable to provide answers to the people that I hold near and dear to my heart definitely is bothersome. So I'm definitely, conflicted is such a ideal term for the way I feel right now. And I'm hoping after this conversation that we all engage in, I can be provided with some clarity and some answers and at least some guidance to provide people that hold my opinion near and dear to their heart. So again, in summation, I'm definitely conflicted. As a Black man, as a father, as an educator, I really don't have an answer right now.
Dave?
I have a question. My thing is this is what I feel. If I have, and I don't want to address anyone wrong, and I know that we're here to have resolution. My question to anyone that's in law enforcement to me is like a brotherhood, right? And no matter what, whoever's doing wrong, you're not going to convict your brother, and you're going to not tell on your brother. How do y'all deal with when you see wrong things happen, but you can't disrespect your brotherhood, but you know it's wrong? How do you deal with that? Anybody from law enforcement?
Do we have somebody from law enforcement that can? Okay. Arthur Brady.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Arthur.
Hey, Dane. Thanks for that question. It all comes down, for me personally, my upbringing. All right. Before I was an officer, and I've been an officer for 5 years now. I was into entertainment. I was an actor. I used to do volunteer work, and I still do volunteer work with my community. And it all comes down to your morals. All right. If let's just put it an example with George Floyd's case. Okay. As an officer, I'm standing there. He has his knee on George Floyd's neck. I'm not gonna stand there and allow that to happen. Right. And people have been challenging me on that, saying, "Oh yeah, but you get fired. Oh, that's your brother. You're supposed to protect." No. That was 100% wrong. And you could look at every move in the book. A knee on the neck for so long, it's wrong. The way we do it, the way officers are supposed to do it, as soon as you get the suspect in cuffs, you put him in a rest position, you put him in an upright position. So they could have got him in the car. It was 4 of them. They could have got him in the car. That was just upright wrong. And me personally, as a man,
when you say got him in the car, what do you mean by that?
If they arrested him, all right, they sit him up, they get him in the car, in the back of the car, so they can continue on, take him to the station, do what they got to do, right? But they literally just stood there for, 9 minutes, his knee on, it's just wrong. And as an officer, you're supposed to hold your partners accountable when they're doing wrong right in front of you. It's called integrity, right? So basically, me personally, I have integrity. I have morals. I was raised by a strong Black man who was a veteran and an officer himself. And my grandfather, all our ancestors. I can't stand there and let that happen. And I won't.
One question, and this is for Arthur and anybody else that's representing the group here. In the event that these things happen like it occurred.
Right.
Okay. In the aftermath of that.
Okay.
Okay. What happens with cops like yourself who are communicating that they're standing for the right things and that they're holding their partners accountable? Okay. What is the process like after something like this has happened? Because from what the community sees and from what my homies tell me, is that nothing happens after the fact, even with the people that are in, because I'm sure every police department has good police officers.
Right.
Although that's not how it's usually looked at from our side of things. Right. But every department has good officers. So my thing is, when you see something like this happen, what happens within the department that we may not see, that or what is supposed to happen that can hold these officers accountable that are doing things like this, that when it becomes systemic?
Right. Usually there's investigations. If something happens, something of maybe brutality, misuse of force, there's usually investigations. There's usually internal affairs that investigate the scenario, the situation that happened, and those people can be suspended or further fired, arrested, stuff like that. There's people, and that's the thing. Like, people are people, no matter if you have a uniform on or not. So they're gonna do wrong things. Those officers who were involved in that, or the main one who had his knee on George Floyd's neck, if he did have that racism in his heart, that was before he even got hired. You know,
right? So, but again, my question again to every cop that's in here, okay? Because clearly, these procedures of what is to happen to hold these rogue police officers, you know, accountable is not happening. So, as citizens and as people of the community, we're trying to find out why these procedures, these investigations, clearly it seems like they're not occurring. So we're like, what's going on within the departments? You know, is it because people are keeping their mouth shut because they're scared of losing their jobs? Is it fear of retaliation? Well, like, what's going on in the police departments? Because we're not there. And again, this is to every cop that's in here right now. You can just raise your hand if you have an answer to it.
I just wanted to say something. I'm not PD, I'm corrections. But like he said, wrong is wrong. But I'm going to be honest with you. There's a blue code and there's a white code. So if you're black and you mishandle somebody or you do something, there are consequences. If you are white and you mishandle somebody, you get moved, transported somewhere else, or you just disappear, but no real consequences. So within the blue, there's black and there's white. So the same line that we have in the streets is the same line that there is on the job. It doesn't change. If I see something, I say something. I pull people to the side. I don't let anybody get mishandled. I didn't in the 23 years that I worked. I didn't let anybody get mishandled because my brother was in the system. My family members were in the system. So every man that I looked at was my brother, was my uncle, was my cousin, because everybody makes mistakes in their lives and they don't deserve to be mistreated as a result of their mistakes. There are people who are horrendous. But again, I wasn't scared of them in the streets and I'm not scared of them as an officer, so I'm going to say something to them. I'm going to tell them, you can't do that in front of me, not me. So I can't speak for the entire department and I can't speak for NYPD, but I know within the confines of corrections, I can walk the streets after 23 years. I've been greeted by several inmates in the streets that are not inmates, but they were inmates, but people in the streets that were in those positions. And I'm not afraid because I never mistreated anybody and I was never down with mistreatment. So like I said, I can only speak for myself, and there is a blue line, a black line, and a white line.
Yes, iPad. And Melody, just so there's a lot going on in the group chats. I don't know if people are responding to here, but yeah, I just want to let you know before we get to. I'm sorry, I keep calling you iPad. What's your name?
I'm sorry, it's Tawana.
Tawana.
Yes. I agree 1,000% with Desiree. I worked in upstate jails. I worked in Sing Sing, Greenhaven, all the big jails, Bedford Hills, and also and that a lot of times the officers were predominantly black. We had some white upstate, and it was different things. But now I work for the courts, which is a predominantly white officers. But just like Desiree said, those colors and those lines do exist. The main thing why things in these officers are getting away with this, because there's a lot of nepotism and favoritism within the system. That is real. It is serious. These kids, these are the cops that are out there who are disrupting and, thinking that they are just above the law without consequence. There's somebody's nephew, cousin, best friend. They're all intertwined. They're all related. Or it's somebody's best friend if they're not related, or they did somebody a favor, it's a lot of that. So if they're doing bad, they will sweep it under the rug. But just like Desiree said, it is. The consequences are different. That's why I've been conflicted as being black and blue. The consequences are definitely different, but that's why they're not getting in trouble or getting, the consequences or sanctions or the write-ups or the being terminated.
So let me ask you a question, and then I'll start saying some of the things that are being said in the chat. As officers, have you guys felt the systematic oppression directly?
Yes.
And perhaps that has also influenced or provoked fear, and the people need to understand and know that.
Good. That's a good question.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Have you guys personally, as the blue code and black versus the white code, have you felt the systematic oppression personally?
Yes.
Or have you seen it? Would you say that you believe that this is part of the fear that officers have?
Yes, 100%. I'm gonna go with 1,000. We're gonna stick with 1,000. I'm from 1,000%. I gotta raise it. Get 100, 1,000%.
I do want to say that the people who push the buttons don't look like us. So if you do go on the side and try to tell on somebody or try to make something right that's wrong, it doesn't go to a place that does it in a just fashion. They do what needs to be done for the person involved. So I've experienced racism within my department. I felt it. I know my first time that I ever felt like someone handled me like a nigger was in the Department of Corrections. I lived in a community where there was extreme racism, but I never felt it. I never felt that feeling of someone placing me so far beneath them that I had to struggle to get up mentally. That came from the Department of Corrections. So it does take a toll on you as an officer, and sometimes you can either stand up and fight, or you can succumb to the pressure and become one of the good old boys to survive. I chose not to be a good old boy, but that's just me. There are people who played their position because the people in power would embrace them secretly as a good old boy, but it was never true. So yes, we do deal with the racism within the department, and we do feel it in the department, but I learned to be stronger than that. But it's extremely hurtful, and I learned it very early in my career, and I had to go home and cry about it and talk to my parents about it and try to understand how a person could treat someone so minimally because of their power.
And I see Kyle Brown waving his hand. I know Melody, we'll get to Kyle in a second. Just give me 1 second. Melody, did you see anybody in the chats? And while she's gonna say some of the stuff she's seeing in the chats. But if anybody here has had experience in the system from the other side, all right, not the law enforcement, talking about people that been locked up. I've been locked up, but I know it's other people that's been locked up.
Well, hey, Taj, I know that it was important to have a voice from authentic streets, and the person that guided me through my journey was my OG Daniel, and I know he's in the building, so he could definitely tell you how this is affecting us from systematic, all day, every day, a hustler's perspective. Daniel, you there? Unmute, Daniel.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. What's up, everybody?
So, again, a lot of your teachings saved my life. And it was based on what was going on. And you've been on the other side. How are you feeling about these things? and what's being said.
Well, we talked about this in our last conversation when we was on with the senators. And, I told you then, it's a lot of brothers that been through the system. It's a lot of us that's been falsely accused. Like, for example, several times, me personally, I've been arrested for one thing. I get to the precinct, and they put on a whole bunch of other charges, which I really never understood. Like, why would you trump up charges against me, charge me for what I'm being charged for? Besides that, the same thing with the Central Park situation. It's just a bunch of people that's been in the system falsely accused. A lot of guys did a lot of time, copped out the cases because they didn't want to take the chance, taking it to trial, getting the max. And, I know the system is filled with people with them circumstances. And when you see these people outside right now riding, a lot of them got a lot of anger in them, that's what it stemmed from. Like me personally, I've been looking at a lot of shit that's going on. And it might sound kind of crazy, but sometimes I be wishing I could have got a piece of a cop. Or I could have jumped in and, because that's how much abuse that we've been through. That's after being told to lay on your stomach, get out your car when you done nothing wrong, pushing you around, putting handcuffs on you whenever they want, tight as they want, and you never could fight back. It's just a certain amount you could take. After a while, you're gonna explode. And I think that's what you're seeing out here now. I was telling Charge, and I was talking to y'all last time about, I think everybody's just tired of the marching. They tired of the talking. You talk about politicians, don't matter if it's Republican or Democrats. They two wings on the same bird. Still about the same shit. We can change presidents. We can elect certain people, but there's no change for us on our level in the streets where we from. The change seemed to only take effect on the higher level. And a lot of people is just tired, man. We've been fighting this war for a long time, dying in the streets. I think a lot of brothers feel like, they ready to really fight for their freedom this time because nothing else really seemed to work. We done marched. We done, got on one knee. We did everything that it was to try to do it peacefully. The only thing we haven't done was fight. And Taj and a lot of you other people that's probably on the panel, y'all probably from the same hood I'm from. And if y'all from anywhere where I'm from in our neighborhoods and communities, y'all know one thing. Anything that you want, anything that's worth having, you gotta fight for it. Sometimes you gotta take lives for it. Where I'm from, you gotta stand tall and you gotta really give it up. And that's what the generation you seeing out there now, they basically speak a different language. They not talking Martin Luther King language. They're not talking politician language. They talking ghetto slang. That's all they know. And they been through a lot already. And they ready to just fight for their cause. I understand how they feel because I honestly feel the same way. A lot of times I want to go out and just fight for the cause. I'd rather, die for a cause than die in the streets for nothing. And that's what a lot of people is going through. A lot of people is dying in these streets every day for nothing. We've been fighting each other for a long time. A lot of people's eyes is open now. We know who's been suppressing us. We know who's been keeping us down. And I just want to say this for the record too. I've been out and I've been to a couple of protests and I got to give it up for the righteous white people. The Caucasians that's been coming out really, protesting for our rights. A lot of them, there's been a lot of them next to, us marching. It might be just as many as them because not all of them have that hate in their heart. A lot of them respect, that we all equal. And they all want to see us, come up on a different level besides what we've been through in the past. But, with us connected with them and the other brown people, we got the majority now. So it's just a matter of somebody taking charge. And that's another thing. I think we really need somebody to take charge and lead the front and really explain what need to be done, the procedures we need to, follow. Because hurting our own people and our own residents, messing up our community, it's not really helping.
OG.
Yeah.
It's Taj here. What's up, bro?
Yeah, Taj.
Yeah, salute. Basically, I just kind of want to reflect what you're saying to anybody else that might be feeling similar to you. I think one of the big points that you made, all of your points were big, to keep it 100. But one of the big points that I seen that you was making is that being in the hood, a lot of times we feel that there's no other way than to, excuse my language, fuck something up. You know what I'm saying? You said a lot. You talked about people feeling like sometimes they gotta take lives. Sometimes we gotta, literally go to war, whether it's with each other sometimes or with the powers that be. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely wanted to validate what you're saying, because a lot of us feel that way. You know what I'm saying? Especially when we coming up young in the game. Melody, did you see anybody in the comments here that you?
Todd, is it possible I could jump in for a second?
Oh yeah, you know what? Let me give it up to Kyle Brown. He's been waiting for a minute, and then you can come right after him.
Before you do, let me just get some of these comments out there that echoes this particular subject matter before we jump around so that everyone can feel heard. One person said, when I was a correction officer, when we went against them, they tried to mess with me by changing my tour, transferring, by forging my name, and I had to fight back until they left me alone. This is someone who was an officer. So let's bring that to light too. I mean, forging somebody's name is crazy, but just thinking about the different systematic tactics that they use. I was on the line with a protester earlier, and he's like, let's continue to burn shit down. And I was like, well, why do you feel that way? And he's like, listen, we're at war, and sometimes at war there has to be casualties because they're not going to get it. And I couldn't really understand what he was saying at first until he started to continue to break down what he meant by systematic tactics. And I said, give me an example. And he said, you notice this officer that had his knee on George Floyd's neck, his wife divorced him, filed for divorce. I said, okay, and? He's like, right. Because if she filed for divorce before he gets indicted, she takes his pension. She takes all of his stuff. So if he gets in trouble, he's going to lose his pension. He's going to lose all these other things that officers get. But if she divorces him first, she takes everything to still secure the family. I said, wow, I didn't even realize that could be done. And he's like, right. So now you mean to tell me that we can't look for tactics ourselves in spite of casualties? And I didn't know how to respond. So let me just say that, piggybacking off of this comment, and you said two people wanted to speak. Could you?
Yeah, there was Mr. Brown.
I'll jump around with more comments later, guys, but I do want to make sure that I put that out there so I can make sure that I'm also speaking on behalf of the protesters, even though I don't take any side. Go ahead.
Kyle?
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad the conversation is talking about this systemic system that's going on in the police department. It seems like over the years, that blue wall of silence and the good old boys network that the officer said was really hurting our people by our own people. You know, it was famously done, and I can't remember whether it was Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society, when the black cop was treating a black kid worse than the white cop. And then even Don't Be a Menace While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood made fun of it. And as Bernie Mac said, he hated his black gums and he hated his black this, and it was showing a lot of self-hate. So if between the good old boys network and some black hatred that may have been going on through the police department, and I got a family full of officers and I love officers, but the bad black officers that were compliant to what was going on over the years, the white officers and the black officers together, that made for just a bad setup for the inner city communities. So this blue wall of silence, it has to be broken down somewhat. And the black officers if you're having trouble with the white officers, those black officers that's part of the good old boy network, and the ones who may have self-hate, maybe you got to start working on them to have more on your side.
That's a great point. One thing that we was talking about earlier was, and again, any cops that's in here, let me know if I'm wrong. I mean,
let's use the word officers because not all of them are cops per se.
Officers, excuse me. Thank you for that. Any officers that are in the building, you could let me know if I'm incorrect about this. But from what I'm seeing, are y'all in need of support, like a union, like how a big company would have a union, to protect y'all from some of these things, some of these things that could happen to y'all for coming out and speaking the truth and things like that. Is there a way to get different departments for the good officers to stand together to protect y'all? Yes. To Awana, right?
Awana, yes. Okay, once again, let me tap into the system. Just like the lieutenants and the higher up, same thing with our unions. We have unions. Mm-hmm. We have unions, but those same people who are supposed to fight for us, they get in bed with them, just like when you go to court, this one is in bed with that. It's the same. We have, those things are still, they're happening. So a lot of times that's not really our recourse, because you can't really trust or depend on the union as well to fight for your cause, because they can pick and choose because you can file a grievance. They can pick and choose what grievance they feel is valid or worth fighting for. And if you're not the right officer they want to fight for, or your cause is not right, or it's not, or something against the wrong officer, like if it's a friend officer that's in the midst of the good old boys, they're not gonna, it goes nowhere. We have those issues too within it. And another thing I want to say too, we call this the United States. It's the unified court system. Every state has their own law. It's nothing united or it's nothing unified throughout a lot of these systems. That's the problem too. Because within our, just like I said, I have a comparison, and from going from the corrections, we had one union, and together we stand, divided we fall. So in corrections, our union was strong. So once I got to the courts, they have like a million different unions. We have, so we can have to.
No, I was going to say, what I was going to ask you was, and anybody else that's here, is do you guys need to have something outside of the police department, outside of the court system? Because it seems like, because I hear what y'all saying, I hear the good officers, saying, how they play their part individually, right? Mm-hmm. How can y'all get together on a macro level to really affect what's going on, so to kind of turn the tide of people saying, well, the good officers ain't saying nothing.
But that's the problem. It's a fear, and that's what I'm fighting towards, because I want to be comfortable in my skin. A lot of black officers, they want to speak up, they want to say things, and not all black officers they want to do something, but sometimes it's a conflict because people don't want to lose their jobs, or they don't want to get transferred. Like Desiree was saying, like there's certain things that people don't want to push for, or don't want to get behind, and it's hard to say that we're going to have this without feeling like we're going to get repercussions. Like, we're going to be fired or written up or outcasted. Because once like in corrections, I had a friend of mine. She did something that she spoke up against a white officer, and this was like maybe 15 years ago. They took a rat trap, they put it by her locker, they wrote all of this stuff on her like they will traumatize you. They will put holes in your tires. That's the extent that I've seen up in upstate correct. So I don't work in the police department, so I can only imagine the level of hazing that they may have. But in the courts, I haven't experienced any hazing, but I do have a personal issue in terms of systematic racism. But it's hard. It's hard for us to get together and feel like, because everyone is scared of being written up or being ostracized.
You're absolutely right. At the end of the day, they're a gang just like we're a gang. And they stick together. And the thing with them is, if they go against one of their comrades, they got to worry about walking the yard, not getting no help. Sometimes their crew might say, hey, that nigga told on me, so we ain't even gonna go let him get his ass whipped, or like she said, they puncturing tires. They're gang. They do real gang mentality shit.
Or they might not get that promotion that they're up for. They looking at advance. That's all that they want to advance. They want to do this. They may not get that promotion. They may not get that gig.
This is where, and again, I say, anybody else, please just raise your hand if you got something to say.
Let me just say one thing, though. I will say something from a humanistic perspective. This is all systems. You can find this in the court system. You can find this in the education system. You can find this in the church. Let's make that clear.
Right.
So I think that this is a moment where we have to reevaluate in the Nation of Islam. Let me just throw that out there. So I'm not biased. I would maintain my neutrality. But we know that is clear. But something else has to give.
Right.
And so it's I understand why they're scared, or why people may be hesitant. Because at the end of the day, they also have families to feed, and they want to make it through their day. Does it make it correct? No. But it's like, this is every system. Every single system has this. So it's like, I'm glad we're able to say it and identify it for people to hear and understand this lens, but
well, it's very valid. It's very valid, and and I want to validate what you're saying, because those are legitimate things that can cause anxiety and fear, and how to support your family and things like that. But one thing I always tell, my homies and people that I know coming from the neighborhood is, if you really addicted to drama and you addicted to being involved in that stuff, come try to help your neighborhood. They're gonna come for you. You really like to smoke? Step in the war and try to help your black folks and your brown folks. They're gonna come for you. And this is the thing. We have to realize that when we step into this game and you really want to change stuff, they're not finna just let that happen. They're not gonna just let it happen. They're gonna come with their defense. And this is something that we have to realize, and people gotta step up and be willing to make sacrifices when it comes to this. Some people have sacrificed their lives. Some people have sacrificed their jobs. Some people have sacrificed, being comfortable, all these different things. So with that being said, I want to take it back to y'all and see what y'all got to say.
Can I jump in now, or?
Yeah, who is that?
Marie.
Oh, Marie. Yes, Marie, go ahead.
So first and foremost, Melanie, in the beginning, you asked, how are we feeling? And I'm so conflicted, and I'm so hurt, and I'm fighting back so much emotion right now. To the brother OG, I just want to say thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for sharing your story. To the officers that's sitting in this room, I want to say thank you for putting your life on the line every single day. You look like me. You chose a profession. You didn't choose for people to stereotype you and to deal with the oppression that we deal with. So I want to say thank you. The one thing that I've learned through all of this is I have to know how to stay in my lane. And as an educator, I face over 300 Black and brown children every single day. So when we talk about a system, for me, it can change. And for me, the system starts to change with how we educate our youth. So for me, I think about, how do we use this platform to teach the babies to get into politics, to learn about law enforcement, to learn about how to vote, to learn about how to use their voice, to learn about how to speak up. Because truly for us, most of us are in our 40s and our 30s. The system is the system. But for them, they're going to inherit the pathway that we lead for them. So while we're all sitting on the call from different walks of life, I guess my commitment is, when I walk into my building, is to look at my curriculum, to look at how I talk to my students and my children in the building, and to look how I educate them. So I guess my question is to the team, how do we get together? Yes, you're gonna be on one side of the fence or the other, but how do we get together to change the way for our children? What are we teaching them? What are we saying to them? So that's just, so I'm conflicted and I'm kind of hurt.
All right, thank you so
much. I was saying for Marie, hi Marie, Ola Alabi. The curriculum is something, I think Dame said it before. When he was in school, he looked at the curriculum, he looked at school as being whack, right? If I'm correct, Dane, right? And
Absolutely.
it was more like, I can't relate to this. I want to know how to make money, right? So our kids, the curriculum for them is not something they're interested in. It's something that we shove down their throat. It's something that if you talk to them, if you really get down to it, because I'm in elementary school, and they're not interested in it. It's something that's whack. So we got to start teaching them things and getting in those positions where we teach them things they find useful. Whether it's coding, whether it's a business, whether it's something, we got to get in those positions where we're in the state education department, we're in the city education department, and we can change those things. Because we're teaching things that are 80 to 100 years old, but we have problems that are systematic that we need to teach them about today. I think Councilman Lewis is on the line, and when she first was elected, she asked me, she said, what programs can we bring to our black young men in Flatbush? What can we do? Like, what can we do? Because we're teaching them the same stuff, and it makes no sense. And Juanita said it, she's a teacher with me in PS 224, she said it. She said, she was a corrections officer, and she came to our school, and she said some of the things that led to these men being in corrections start in school. And just from them, the way they line up, the way we talk to them, the way we address their parents, how do we change that? And she does a very good job on bringing a different approach because she's seen the other side. And I just want to shout her out. She's in the room. But what can we do with curriculum? What can we do? Because for every black man that's in prison right now, they're missing from a family of a child that we teach in school every day. So we are their father, their mother, their cousin, whatever it is. And we have to get to them wholeheartedly before they hit that system, because you can ask a lot of kids in my school. They know someone in the system, and that's a damn shame. So what do we do? And I'm asking all walks of life. Thank you.
Well, I just want to jump in really quickly, and I just want to say something, I'll be done. But I think as principals, it's opening our door so correction officers could come into the school building, council people could come into the school building. So you provide the students with exposure. You provide them with exposure, you're able to talk to them, you provide them with opportunity, and you provide them with access. So as principals, we need to open our door so they see more of us in leadership positions, and they're able to hear from people who look and sound like them.
And just real quick.
Real quick and say this.
Hold on, wait a minute,
Go ahead, Dennis.
before anybody starts, all right? I want to keep the jumping in to a minimum, all right? Raise your hand. One of us will point to you. Dame is the host, so I gotta make sure he gets in what he's saying. All right. So as soon as Dame says what he says, then we'll go to you, Dennis, right?
Yes.
And Dr. Purnell, right? And then we'll go from there. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. Dame.
Okay. I as for the educators, when I look at all the principals, I look at Akbar in Newark. He wears Jordans, and he talks to them in the language that they understand. They understand how to make money. He set up a bank, a barbershop, and as a result of them knowing how to make money or teaching them how to make money, other people are giving him money, and he's getting the recognition that he should get for that. My question always is, if we know that the thing that is the most important to teach is economic wealth, how come ownership isn't taught in the education system? Because the reason why I listened to Daniel when I was in school, OG, because he was talking the shit I wanted to hear. He was taking care of his children. He was fly. He was strong. He was funny. And he was tough. That was my teacher. But when I look at Akbar, he reminds me of Daniel. When I look at the other, I don't want to forget his name. My man with the father that just they just named the school after his father. He reminds me of Daniel. Mooney. His name is Mooney. That's a fly hustler name. Yo, I could get to work for Mooney. I just feel like if we speak in the language that the children are speaking, instead of teaching in the language that we know that they don't want to hear, it would probably make it easier for them to want to hear it. And that's just what I wanted to say. And Dennis, Again, like, look at Dennis, look at these principals. That's why I'm talking to them. They're not showcased enough. But I do think entrepreneurship should be taught. And I know when I was in school, private or public, I wasn't taught that.
Yeah, definitely. And right before we get to Dennis's next, I want to say that's why it's very important for us that are from the community, that know the culture, that live the culture, that dress the culture, that are the culture, get into these positions. You know, whether it's a principal, you know, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a psychologist.
Even the bishop is fly.
You know, these are, you know, and this is why we have to push that you can be this and be in these different professions. So I really want to congratulate y'all on that. And, you know, as a member of the community myself, you know, I appreciate y'all for that. That's real. So, Dennis, you was next.
Yeah, thank you. And, you know, just to follow what Marie was talking about, I mean, I think we as educators have to realize that we are the system. You know what I'm saying? That system that we continue to talk about that is so, you know, so messed up and so jacked up. In our schools every day as school leaders, we have some options. And the options are, as Marie would say, is to bring some of you all into their school community. It would be to have those conversations like Alabi is talking about, where we are, you know, addressing ways in which we could beef up the curriculum a bit, where we actually start to talk about things that build pride in Black children. So I think we fling around that term system a lot. And as a school leader, I recognize that I was that system that I wanted for my children. I mean, you're going to get some resistance like you would in any other system. But the reality behind it, if you know it's the system that your children need, you're going to do everything possible to make sure that works. So, you know, I would, you know, definitely discourage, especially the school leaders in the room, to continue to talk about a system as if we don't have control of that thing. You know, we are with those children so much throughout the day that we can actually influence whatever it is that we need to influence to make them and their families, you know, better at the things that we want them to be better at. So I definitely feel that, as Marie talked about, bringing you all in, bringing everybody else in will help create a stronger system that me as the school leader had created for my children.
Just gonna document that as a solution.
We got Dr. Chris. I'm sorry, Melody, was you saying something?
No, I just want to document that as a solution to start bridging some of these officers and leadership with some of these schools to make sure that, I guess you guys would call it a town hall meeting, you know, that these people are a part of your town hall meetings with your students, if you will. And, you know, you guys can send me a private message in the chat with your email addresses, and I can send a long list of all these solutions and connect one another so that we make sure that we continue engaging in the conversation. But go ahead. I think Principal Akbar wants to speak. I was going to speak.
Dr. Purnell was next, and then I had Dr. Anissa, and then the person you was talking about, Melly, I didn't hear that name.
Akbar. Okay. And then Pastor Carter. And then we have some questions in the Marcus, but we have some questions in the chat that we have to that we want to get to, because Councilwoman Farrah Lewis is asking something about legislation. What legislation? What can she do to create legislation around a lot of this for us? So I want to make sure that question is definitely answered. And then Quentin has some questions about how we develop accountability in spite of everything that's going on. So go ahead.
Right. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about systems to make sure we're all on the same page, and then to plug in some solutions, how systems function and how they're built. Right. So a system is any collection, any structure, any entity, and a system is designed to produce certain outcomes because there are policies, there are structures that replicate after itself or reproduce after itself to achieve a certain end goal, right? So racism is a system. Racism is designed to impact, disenfranchise, disempower people in every aspect of their life, in every public good. Policing and public safety is a public good. Health and healthcare is a public good. Education is a public good. So it is not until we can begin to dissect racism and see how racism is promulgated through laws, see how racism is promulgated through policies, see how racism is promulgated through behaviors, see how racism is promulgated through actions, see how racism is promulgated through norms within your own particular system. Do that. Within policing, do that. Within healthcare, do that. Within education, do that. Then you can begin to dismantle the system. Every system is designed for winners and losers. That's why there is a black and a white line even within the blue code. There was a black and a white line even in me becoming a physician, right? The system was designed not to see me be as successful as I am today, but I had to learn how the system was designed to operate and to say, what are the pain points? Every system has gaps. Every system has a pain point, which is an opportunity to bring change. So we got to teach our children how to discern and find those gaps and how to find those opportunities, and then to say, what is tipping point leadership? What can I do myself? And then what can I do collectively? And oftentimes what we do collectively has to be done on multiple disciplines, right? Me as a physician, you as an educator, someone else as a politician, someone else as a public safety officer. We have to say, how do we come together and do actions at the policy level, do actions at the regulatory level, do actions at the behavior level, do actions at the cultural level? That is the only way that we are going to stop seeing the racism that we see. Not until we have anti-racist policies and actors, and specifically anti-black racism policies and actors, it's not going to change, because the system is just going to continue to replicate after itself. So we would do our...
Still here?
Yes. She's been raising her hand for a minute.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Anissa Riley. Thank you for letting me share. And just to kind of extend what Dr. Purnell just shared, you know, Warren Dennis wrote a book called On Becoming a Leader. And in that book, he talked about the importance of us mastering the context. And so when you learn what the context is, then you learn how to master it, and then you're able to dismantle it from within. But that takes a lot of strategy, thought processes, and things of that nature. And when we're talking about conversations, we can have conversations, but in order to have a productive conversation with those who may think differently for such a long time, you need to have tools. So there are tools that we can use, for instance, from the courageous conversations. There is something called the moral compass, the courageous conversation compass. And when you master that compass, then it's easy to identify the point from which the person is coming at the conversation. So in that compass, there's the intellectual view of racism, there's the social view of racism, there is the emotional and moral view of racism. In order for us to be smart and strategic when we're having these conversations with individuals who believe different, think different, and to get them to see differently, you have to have those tools. So that way, when you identify someone who is coming at the racism from a moral aspect, then you are able to combat that and master that context. And that goes for the intellectual point of view, the social point of view, as well as the emotional point of view. And a lot of us, as Black and brown people, because we've experienced it so much, we come at the racism issue from an emotional standpoint. Or, which is the opposite of that on the compass, is the intellectual standpoint. And that's why sometimes we fail to move the needle on the compass as much as we can, because we're operating from the two opposite ends of it. And rightfully so, but we need to equip ourselves, continue to equip ourselves, so that when we're in the room and we have the influence, that we can do what is necessary to strategize and control the conversation.
I'm glad you brought up the emotional aspect of this, because we talked a lot about education and things to teach the young people. One thing I want to talk just briefly about is coping mechanisms. All right, what do you guys think about teaching just plain coping mechanisms to these young kids? Because one of the biggest things that we have that stops us from learning is that we're always hypervigilant. We're always in a state of what we call in psychology fight or flight. Heart rate is up, blood pressure's going, prefrontal cortex shuts down, we can't learn correctly because we're turned up and we're worried about losing our lives walking home from school or getting shot or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So what do y'all educators think about, you know, and what do you think is the state of that, and how can we get that into the curriculum? Because again, I'm coming from a clinical standpoint. You guys are, I mean, I do go to Compton and I go to the classrooms and I talk to these kids, but you guys are the actual educators that are with them there every day. What is the state of this in the curriculum, and how can we implement it more to teach things like mindfulness, breathing, you know, to get them to kind of calm themselves, to be able to learn effectively and
his hand up from the beginning of the conversation. I'm sorry, and I really would like to hear from the brother.
Go ahead. But then after that, we want to get into some solutions for legislation, please, so that the legislators could make sure that they don't walk out of here without knowing and having that information. Because I think that also is a part of the solution base. But Marcus, yes, please. Captain Marcus, go ahead, take it away.
Thank you very much. I mean, this goes back to Tajay at the beginning. Like, I would say, the wall of silence, that wall, I feel like with this tragic event, it's been a little different. I don't know if you noticed, even though the media is most likely, you know, everything that they're pushing and sensationalizing is all the riots and looting and all of that. But there's been quite a few police departments, officers, chiefs stepping up and saying something. And that's, to me, new. Like, you haven't seen that. And that's why I'm very happy to be on this conversation, like to be a part of this, because we really need to keep pushing. Because right now, people know wrong is wrong. So right now, we need to keep pushing, because we got a lot of people standing up and saying things. I work for the courts as well. So I do understand that it's systematic racism and it's there. But I believe it was Dr. Riley, finding the gaps is very important. Because you got to keep moving up. You got to keep taking tests. You can't be happy with just staying in a blue shirt if you don't like the way things are going. You got to take these tests. You got to go on these interviews. You got to get promoted so you can change policy. If we're looking for solutions just within the offices is what I'm saying. Also, I believe someone said earlier it's about the individual and your upbringing. It really is, but you got to be willing to deal with those consequences. And at times, like I'm a supervisor right now. So I have the ability to rectify inappropriate behavior, you know, and I think my office are really they're aware of the type of person I am and what I expect from them. We made a note. We're supposed to protect and serve, and they are fully aware of that.
How long does it take to become a captain?
All right.
So that we could see how long it would take someone who says, you know what, I want to do that. So I want to change policy. I want to reprimand. I want to be in that position. How long does it take to get to that level? And what do you believe that maybe the captains who are black and brown who want to make that change, have they considered a lot of the things that is going on aside from the ones that we're seeing on TV? Go ahead.
I would say this, it's more than just the black and brown people that's considering the changes as well. This has affected quite a few people. I'm telling you what's wrong is wrong, and I feel like a lot of people not of color have seen this, you know, and but time period, it ranges. I'm a captain. I've been on for 14 years. That's actually pretty fast. But you just got to keep putting yourself out there. Every test that come out, you take it. Everything, you have to do it. You can't say, oh, I'm not ready, I'll take the next test. You got to keep pushing, because you got to get to a point where you can make a difference, or at least be in a position to make a difference.
Can I say something? Question?
Now, let me just also interject that I did get information about the 63rd precinct that officers did actually take a knee with the protesters, and their commanding officers told them to get up and go home. So it's still that tug that the people are also dealing with too. And I agree with your part as well. I just want to make sure that I insert that part so that you can see that officers are also being attacked for trying to make that difference. And I'm not disputing what you're saying, but I do want to make sure that I highlight that it's both forward. Go ahead.
But you pointed out both sides, right? So you pointed out that officers are willing to take a knee, which they wasn't willing to do before. So that's a positive in itself. Yep. We still got work to do. I'm sorry, Dave.
No problem. For the lawmakers, because that's ultimately who you have to listen to, the police. What law could be passed right now that could make us feel better? What law can we lobby for that would mean that people are there's going to be some sort of acknowledgement of this, a law? And then my other question was to the Bishop Purnell, who has to teach religion and energy. How do you approach this? I just wanted to hear what he had to say, but I'm just curious. A solution is a law, get it passed. What law will we focus on right now?
I'm going to pass that to Farrah Lewis, and I believe
It was a question. It was a question.
Yeah, I'm going to pass that response to Councilwoman Fowler because she's a councilwoman, and then possibly Chelsea, since you're doing a lot of law work as well, I believe. And then anyone jump in from there. And I'm so sorry I can't get everybody. We're really trying. Go ahead.
All right, I'll be pretty quick. I don't think there's a bill or a law that could be passed and ever make us feel better about systemic racism. But one thing that we are working on that I hope to pass. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. One law that we're working on that we hope to pass by next week is to make the chokehold illegal, which means it would be a misdemeanor if a police officer were to use a chokehold during I would call it an escalation process of arrest. This is a piece of legislation that I'm very happy that's passing.
You're cutting off.
That is going to pass because it's just a step in the right direction for what else needs.
Can I help you get that law passed? How can I help you get that law passed?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, yes, sir.
My question is, how can we, on this line, help you get that law passed and then go to another law? But we want to help.
So the support that we would need right now is for you guys to call all the legislators and the city council to ensure that they're going to sign on to the actual bill. What I'm advocating for is for a package of bills to ensure that we could change how they do policing here in New York City. We know that the NYPD, it's basically an independent agency that polices itself when it comes to disciplinary actions, as you heard some of the officers share here this evening. And the CCRB is responsible to police the police, but they don't have any power because we've seen that several times. Even with Pantaleo being laid off, we know that the CCRB doesn't have any power. So we have a package of bills that we could use everyone's support here in order to change the systems that we're talking about.
Not to cut you off.
And I just wanted to add on before I leave.
But no, don't leave. What I want you to wait, don't leave. What I want you to understand, my objective is for us to understand how to get things done and to make that cool. And I want to make my platform. I want to showcase the laws that need to be passed and make it cool to get these laws passed. Because that's all you really listen to is the law.
Right. So let me just, if you can, just please get us the bill number to that bill. And when you have the package, because I've done legislation as well, when you have the package of bills, please send that forward. I will send it to the group email thread, and we'll send the links for them to post online for people to then go ahead and support those bills. And I know there's a link that tells, if you put your zip code in, they'll tell you your legislative number right there, so that people can then call right away, and we'll start promoting those things as well.
And I really need to hear from Bishop Purnell. I got to hear Bishop Purnell.
Can I ask a question real quick? Can I ask, Mrs. Lewis, is it possible that we can defund, is there such a thing that we can defund the police department? Can we really do that?
I don't think we can do that. They're always going to have a line budget. I was actually at a press conference today stating that we should not expand their budget for the FY21 fiscal cycle. I don't think they need the money. If anything, we should be taking money away from the NYPD to give it to youth programming, because they eliminated the Summer Youth Employment Program, which basically employed 75,000 kids in New York City. 75,000 kids in New York City will not have a job. I've been working with Yandy Smith and Jamila Davis on a youth entrepreneurship program right here in my district, and that is a program that's been helping a lot of kids understand what the economy is all about. So here are programs that are going to be eliminated from our communities because we want to put monies in other areas. that we really don't need to be putting those monies. But I don't think the NYPD could be defunded completely. We need public safety, as the doctor stated earlier. It is a public good. You need public safety, but the way they're going about public safety is definitely not going in the right direction. So I think we need to discuss ways we could change how they do policing here in New York City. Dr. Snell?
One thing I wanted to say, it has to be stressed, white supremacy is a belief system. Anti-black racism is a political, social, cultural, economic, and religious system designed to persecute and to keep racism alive. White supremacy is a belief system. It is a real belief system. This nation was founded on white supremacy. The founding father were slave owners, white supremacy. It has always been founded on class structure of building the separation between classes. What we have to understand, we will never destroy white supremacy until we go to the root of it. And the root of it is religion. It is religion. Education is applauded on in every field except in the Christian church. In the Christian church, if you educate yourself, you become an enemy. If you educate yourself in the Christian church, you begin to recognize that we have been pushing white supremacy and white lies down from hundreds and hundreds of years.
Could you please go into what you mean by that? And then we'll have clergy step up as well, because I love the fact that there's a direction.
Yes, there's a direction. The direction is we've been brainwashed. There never was a man named Jesus. The name Jesus did not exist 2,000 years ago. Someone needs to tell me how an African became a European. Christ does not have one drop of European DNA. There are no white authors anywhere in the Bible. There are no white authors anywhere in Scripture. The Messiah's whole lineage is made up of Ham and Shem. Everyone knows these are basic facts. We know we can count the people of commit that the Hebrews married. Once again, it's the code. When we say the name of Jesus is above every name, we disrespect our lineage, we disrespect our heritage, we disrespect the very knowledge. When you know that Jesus is an anglicized name. When we understand that racism appears in the police department, that means policing can't support us. When you have black police officers afraid of the very system that is supposed to protect us, we have a problem. Then we have to remember that we have to raise our children to be agents of change. If we don't like the network, let's build our own. Let's build our own network. That's what needs to take place now. And I no longer plan, and never will be a plan, of pushing another lie down to another generation. But we have to deal with the racism that we teach as black people. As a black community, what parts of white supremacy are we upholding? As long as we're praying to a white God to deliver us, we'll never get victory. We have to understand it. It is simple, basic facts. And once again, I pride myself in this. I got 2 degrees in finance and economics. Rutgers. I encourage everyone to study.
Okay, Dr. Pennell, just again, and let's just be reminded of our ground rules here, because some people can contest this and some people won't contest this. So let me just make that very clear. And everyone is entitled to their opinion. Can you please, Dr. Pennell, tell us, what do you subscribe to a religion, and what religion is that? Just for clarity for the people?
Yes. To clarity. I prescribe the truth. If it's truth, it's love. What we understand when we read the scriptures, nowhere in the scriptures did the Messiah ever change his faith or religion.
So do you subscribe to the doctrine of the Bible? Just for clarity for the people, because you
66 books of the scriptures, yes, which are written in Hebrew and Greek, yes. The original King James Version Bible, the 1611 King James Version Bible, does not have the name Jesus in it because the name Jesus wasn't invented then.
So you are a bishop who subscribes to the Christian faith? If you are a bishop who subscribes?
Yes, because for the first 300 years, first of all, Christianity is an African faith. It was started by Africans. There is no continent called Middle East. There's no continent called Middle East. Christianity, the first 300 years, the center of Christianity was Africa. The first 70 years, it was the temple, until Titus destroyed the temple in 70 AD. These are facts. And then it was Constantine that came and took Christianity from Africa and took it to Europe. Those are facts. And by the way, Christians didn't call themselves Christians.
So from my understanding, you are a Christian who subscribes to the faith book of the Bible, but you do not believe that Jesus was black.
No, he believes you.
Or existed, I should say. Okay? That's not what you said. I'm so sorry. Please clarify.
What I said is that the scriptures, the 66 books of the prophets, written of the prophets, none of them were European. The scriptures were written in Hebrew and the scriptures were written in Greek. In Hebrew and Greek, there is nowhere found anywhere in history the name Jesus. The name Jesus did not exist. The name of Christ has been transliterated into Hebrew and it's been transliterated into Greek. The name Jesus was invented.
And just for clarification, so because I know Melody, you had asked this. So do you believe that that Jesus existed or the name was wrong? Like that's what I'm trying.
Let's not get too deep into.
No. I just want to clarify because he's saying something. I want to know exactly what he's saying.
I respect you for that, Todd. What I'm saying is, it's so deep when you look at white supremacy. White supremacy has always stolen from other cultures and renamed it. When a person renames something, they become the author of it. We have to understand all the Greek gods came from Africa. They just renamed them. So there's always been a part in white supremacy to rename something. Because if you rename it, you believe you're Adam. Adam, he named things. So what we understand in white supremacy renamed things. For instance, the Christian cross doesn't exist. That comes from the arm. The cross was never the sign of Christianity. It was Constantine who said he had a vision and that by the cross he would come. These are simple, basic facts. And then you say them. For some reason, people are shocked. They're shocked that they can't believe white supremacy had so much power to put you on a slave ship named Jesus, and now you pray for that same name.
Is anybody else that you said that there's other people from the clergy here or other people?
Yes.
Because I do agree with Melody where I do want to keep it centered around how we can bridge that into what we're dealing with today. With the systemic racism and some of the things we're seeing as far as the uprisings and the police brutality. So if we can keep that there.
Yeah, could you just wave if you are clergy who wants to speak?
Pastor.
They can't. I don't think they can see you unless they talk.
Anyone see me? Yes, great. First, let me just.
Hold on. Pastor Stephen, go ahead.
Yes. All right. First, let me just thank Bishop Purnell for your response and your explanation. So I will say this: I'm a strong believer, firm believer of Scripture. However, I also believe it's how you interpret Scripture. So yes, I do believe that white America has used the Bible to oppress our people and to oppress our culture. But I think once you do consistent, as you have done clearly, consistent study of Scripture, I'm in agreement with you that Scripture begins in Africa. The first Christian church is in Africa. But I also believe that the Holy Bible is the inspired Word of God, and I do believe that Christ is the Savior. I think it's all about how you interpret it. I think when you interpret it a way to oppress your people instead of empower your people, that's when it defeats our people. Bishop.
Thank you very much. Is Minister Honorio still in the building? If you are, please step up. He might have been gone.
You should never trust people. Never.
Exactly.
Set you free.
Exactly.
So what I'm hearing here is that from a spiritual, religious standpoint, that there is some white supremacy mixed into religions in general, and we need to
most definitely.
Yeah, of course. And so what we need to do is
oppression. It's their religion not to treat you like a human being.
But let's not speak over each other. But I'm glad that it's being brought to our attention so that we can go ahead and at least take the seed and plant it and go do the work for ourselves. I know Reverend Glover, it sounds like you're wanting to do something, but I think things could be seen in so many perspectives as it relates to religion, especially dating back from slavery and them wanting to add mixed information to get us to conform, and there's so many things behind all that stuff. So I'm glad that it is being brought up in this forum. And I think that we should do a separate forum just on building on these 66 books and, and other people who represent other walks of life to really get down to what is white supremacy and what is things that we should be reconsidering or not reconsidering. And then from there, eating the meat and spitting out the bones is really what that boils down to, okay?
I apologize, Miss Melody. I did not realize that my mic was off of mute.
It's okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Reverend Glover, did you want to say something before we moved on?
I think I do want to bring clarity to what the bishop was talking about in terms of he does have his points correct in some areas. However, to expunge Jesus Christ from the Bible, of course, I think I just want us to pay attention to, I want to speak succinctly. And so I want us to pay attention to the fact that we share, and I say we, I mean Christians, who read the 66 books, we share a history with Jews. We are cousins of the Jews. And so we, as Christians who have adopted the faith and following of Jesus Christ, right? And then we have the Muslims who also have pulled their book from Abraham's son, Ishmael and Isaac. And so we are all family, we are all cousins, and we need to stop separating one another on our doctrinal beliefs and how we interpret the scriptures, because that is another way that we've got all these schisms. The most divided day is on Sunday morning. And so we need to come together, and we are learning as Christians that we operate. I am the ecclesia. You are the ecclesia. We are the church. Our individual bodies are members of it, and we're worshiping from our homes, and we're still worshiping. Let's get this thing right and stop pulling each other apart with doctrine and religious belief.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Again, I think that this particular subject area needs to be a forum within itself so that people who represent and believe in the beliefs of Bishop Purnell and Dr. Glover and Pastor Carter, so forth, could really have a dialogue behind that separate from this. We're starting to divert from the goal and the mission, so I need to really back in. I want to just make a segue to, and again, thank you everybody for your feedback on that. I want to just change this conversation very quickly. And what do you think are give me one statement. Let's not go too deep or too long as to legislation that you believe we need to start looking into to kind of help everything that's going on. I like the chokehold is illegal idea, but I want to be able to just get your intellectual minds to a place where we can now just throw out their statements on what you think are some legislations that we need to start looking into, doing research into. Kyle, we'll start with you.
So one of the things that was touched on earlier was the policing of the police. I don't know how internal affairs is done in all cities across the country, but that's one of the first places that we can look at internal affairs. I believe that universally internal affairs.
Statement on what that is, Kyle?
So with internal affairs, the police officers, from what I know, they're trained side by side with each other. Someone may get a tap on the shoulder, and next thing you know, they're internal affairs, and they're now charged with investigating the person they just went through the police academy with. So whose allegiance are you really to? If your desire was to become a police officer, and now you're a police officer of the police, which may have not necessarily been your intentions when you were growing up and deciding what type of career you wanted to pursue.
I love the background, Kyle. I love the background, but simply tell me in a statement. I would like to see legislation around.
I would like to see legislation around a true structure of policing the police. So two true ways for them to be held accountable, to actually, for an easy way for prosecution when there's mishandling of suspects, just legal ways that they can be held accountable through the policing of the police.
Thank you so much. Very valid. Appreciate your feedback, Kyle.
Melody, I know Principal Akbar been raising his hand for like 20 minutes.
Yes, Akbar, I'm so sorry. So many of you. I am sorry. I'm trying.
Yeah. And before you go, Principal Akbar, I just want to apologize to everybody. There's a lot of y'all on here, and it's impossible to like go to both pages at the same time. So I'm clicking through. We're gonna get all y'all on though. All right, so just bear with us.
Yes, thank you so much for your patience too.
Principal Akbar, what's up, bro?
No, it's all good. I know this whole, getting this Zoom together. But I just want to talk about, even before legislation, I just feel like as a black community, why do we always have to keep being saved by someone? Why? Like, we're not empowering our kids. Because right now they're watching us, right? They're watching us. And like the OG said, we are tired of kneeling. We are tired of marching. I get all of that. But for us to go in there and burn down buildings that have insurance, you didn't really do anything. So we need to get into the whole aspect of how are we changing this? What are the solutions? And I believe and I talked about this on our Zoom before. Just look at the LGBTQ community. Look at them. They went from being the most picked on, demographic to now no one even utters their name. Why, as a black community?
People are scared to. They don't want that heat.
Why do we have to make decisions saying, don't choke me? Like, why do we have to keep saving us? We have that same crab syndrome where everybody's putting everybody back down. In the black community, our dollars speak it's through the roof what our dollars can do. It's $1 trillion industry. We have the most swag. Everyone wants to be us, but when it's time for us to have that leadership, we don't have that person. So all the stuff we're doing right now is fine and dandy. When the smoke clears, what are we doing? And I thought this is what this conversation was about, because my babies can't wait on the policies to change. They need it now. Like Dane said, I was having kids that were not coming to school because they can't wait on, 4 years and I can't feed myself. They got to get that money. So I said, listen, why are you taking penitentiary chances for McDonald's money when I can show you another way? So we have to do right now, we have to figure out what we can do as a black community, because all this is fine and dandy, but when the smoke clears, it's still going to be the same way because we don't have that one person for all us to follow. I hear Black Tuesday this, so now the day we putting black on all our stuff doesn't mean anything. Just look at my Asian community. You've never seen a commercial for a Chinese restaurant. You've never seen it. They move into your neighborhood and they take over. When are the black community, when are we going to do it? So I want this conversation to be about that, because as principals, we all on here. I need to know what to take back to my babies tomorrow. All my politicians, it's great, that's your job, but I'm on the front line with my babies right now, and they're going to keep burning down until they see something. It shouldn't be, I can't get choked. You should not mess with us. So we need to empower ourselves community.
I think we all know, Principal. I think that we all know, man. And the reason why I know, there's a lot of moving parts. And everybody on here tonight has spoke great things. But there's a lot of moving parts. We really know what we're supposed to do. And what we're supposed to do is going to take a lot of sacrifice. I can understand how that is. On here, 6 figures or more. But then that's going to be in jeopardy. Everybody in here probably has a nice home. That's going to be in jeopardy. Some of your children probably go to private schools. Now that's going to be in jeopardy for the things that we really have to do. And that's taking our money, like you said. That's teaming up, like you said. A lot of us are scared to do what it actually is going to take to do to make us get to the point where the Asians are at, where other races and religions and cultures are at. Black people in our DNA, it just seems like what the trauma of slavery and the trauma of things in our ancestors' past have put us in a place that we don't want to take those chances. It seems like it's going to be general.
Yeah, sorry, Supreme. What do you think we need to do to take those chances? How are we breaking the ice to go back to what Principal Akbar said? What are we doing now?
I mean, we're going to have to do those things that 50 years old, anywhere from 30 years old. So those are adult men that are getting killed. So therefore, it's not going to take our generation. It might not happen in our generation. It's going to be somebody that's burning those buildings down right now that we're telling to stop. Everything that we have done thus far hasn't provided or produced the solution that we are looking for. I just talked to 4 kids in the West Ward the other night, the West Ward of Newark, New Jersey. Akbar, you know the ward where we from. 10:30 the other night, and a mother called me, her son, 19-year-old, he had the gun on him.
And he had 3 of his other friends ready to just go knock somebody's head off that did not look like him. And I had to go talk to this 19-year-old boy who was ready to take chances that was going to end his life, put him in slavery and his other 3 friends. But the things that he was asking me, I didn't have the answers for him.
And you know, this is the thing. I don't mean to interrupt you, because you said something that I said earlier, and this is the willingness to know the war and know the sacrifices that need to be made. You just said I got a lot of little homies like that too. They willing to risk their life, willing to risk their freedom, willing to risk everything they got to go put in work, for the hood. Go move this weight or go do this. That same passion we need to transmute into productive things. Okay?
I totally agree.
And again, sorry to cut you guys off. That's why I really want to stay focused on principles. Akbar's question of what are we doing now?
So can I just say something? Can I say something?
Go ahead, Dave.
We have Senator Eddie Milton on the phone, or rather on the Zoom, and he gets laws passed. The only thing we can do legally is get laws passed. Senator, can you speak to how do we get these laws passed and what you are going through? Because you call me frustrated a lot. Please.
Please unmute. Again, thank you.
You got to take yourself off mute.
Senator, is he Eddie Melton?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to see if I can unmute him manually. But you have to unmute, Eddie.
While we're getting him unmuted, like I said, my short point is that those of us that make it out, those of us who get to a certain stature of celebrity, which is something that we can do now, we have to remember the youth in all of this. We cannot just leave. A lot of us just leave and don't come back. We forget about the youth. We forget about them young gangbangers and young homies in the hood. And this is where the change lies. You get what I'm saying? So we have to remember them, because what I see here, we're all educated. We've all reached certain points and we've all broken down barriers. We have to keep teaching the youngsters about how to do that. And that's something that we can do now.
I'm not the senator, but I just want to go back to something that Dayton Dash continuously talks about. We live in a capitalist world. We need to teach the youth how to make money, retain money, and build. Like, we need to bring that back into our community. So when you talk about what can we do now, how do we teach our babies how to make money in this capitalist world that gives them a voice and allows change to happen?
Can I speak on that?
Yes. Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead. Is it Josh?
Yeah. Democratic State Committeeman Josh Pierre. So a couple of things. One, budget cuts do work. There's this perception that's created and sold to us that yes, you go to these legislators to pass laws, but the most important thing that they do, the most important law, is how they're going to spend the money. That's the budget. Budget cuts work. And right now, the moment that the NYPD heard that we might be cutting their budgets, they were in an uproar, because the money really does matter. The money, whether you get it or not, is what provides you with better schools or the same bad schools that you and I grew up in. The money is what determines if you have quality healthcare in hospitals. It's all about the budget. The number one thing you want to hear from your elected officials is how are they fighting for you guys to get a piece of the pie when it comes to the budget. But overall, what does that tell you is it's all about economics. Slavery was economics. It was an economic system. Now we have a new economic system where you work, you get paid to work, but you get paid very low wages. And on top of that, if you do acquire some type of wealth, you have to worry about being foreclosed on or being kicked out of the apartment that you have, and you start over from scratch, build a little bit of wealth, and it gets taken back. One key thing that I've noticed with us as a global Black society in this country, and by that I mean whether you're African American or like myself, I'm a Black immigrant who's part of the greater African American society here in America, is how we spend our dollars. You'll find that within a generation, many Black immigrants move up the ladder pretty quickly, and it has to do with spending habits. I know you people don't want to hear this, but if we cut back on some of the stuff that we spend on, we have to make sacrifices. It's two sides to a financial ledger: how you spend it and how much you make. You can cap on there's a cap on how much you're gonna make, and but you can control how much you spend. And yeah, maybe that does mean you eat more ramen noodles than you do eat lobster bisque. But that's just the way it is. That's the system that we're in. And I'm telling you that there's an extraordinary capacity within African American society for us to do big things economically. If African Americans were a country unto themselves, they would have a bigger economy than Spain. It's close to the size of the economy of France. So you can't tell me that 30, 40 million people in America, in spite of the things that we see, don't have the economic power to build the housing that they need, buy the factories, etc., the stores, etc., to build their own economy. Other cultures have come here and done it. We can do it too. As a matter of fact, other cultures come into our community and open up stores, and they do pretty well. So why can't we? That's my take on it.
Okay, so great point. I want to, and Tawana, I see, just give me a second. I see something here in the comments. Mr. Lays Elliott, you said we're missing the point. Give us something. What do you mean, sir? Where are you at?
First of all, it's ridiculous that we're sitting there asking people not to kill us. That's first and foremost. We're sitting there saying we got to ask people not to kill us. Secondly, no disrespect to the congressman, I believe your name is, but the African American struggle is way different than the African from Africa struggle, because we haven't been from Africa. This is our country. We own it. We built it. It's ours. And we're not, like, I'm not Nigerian, because if you go to Africa, I've been there many times. There's people from Ghana, people from Senegal, people from Nigeria, all have internally different cultures. So we say Africa like it's a monolith, like we're all from one place in Africa. He's from Africa, so he understands the difference from the people from Angola to the people in Senegal. They look to the people that don't understand, but to those people, they look just like the people from Paris and France and Italy ain't the same people. We have a different cultural build. We are a super breed of individuals that built this country. So we got to take ownership because it's ours. We own it. We built it. It's ours. And an economic block I do agree with what he said. The economic block is to take our money, forget the political parties. That system doesn't work for us. Forget them. And put our money together and just move it. In other words, buy our politicians. Put our kids to work. Make entrepreneurs in school. Teach them how to run and own businesses, and then buy the politicians. They can be bought. He's a politician. He understands that language. No disrespect.
Now, Mr. Elliott, I wanted to ask you something real quick. Because I want to give the congressman a chance to respond to. You said that it's crazy to ask them to stop killing us. What do you suggest?
Well,
you got to unmute yourself. There you go. Nope. Do it again. There.
First of all, what I mean by that is the fact that we have to ask people for, like, we're asking permission not to be killed is ridiculous. That's what I mean by it.
So what do you think?
Telling us the norm and asking them to not killing is a favor. No, you're not doing me no favors.
Yeah, so I'm asking you. I mean, we all got our opinions about this, but I'm asking you, like, what do you suggest we do about that? Because I mean, I agree with you. Like, us asking them to stop is not gonna make them stop. So what do you think we should do?
It's different, so because it's not all like everybody's not getting killed in the same way. So let's talk about Sandra Bland, the young lady in Texas that was killed, which was a horrible killing. That city, not by protest, economically, if we had leadership, which I give to the church, should have economically shut that town, that state, that city down. The corporations that pay these politicians, we buy them from them still, no matter who kills us. Whether it's Zimmerman, whether it's somebody in minute with Castillo, we still buying from these companies that are supporting these politicians. So if we stop buying from them, the things will change. Period. Just stop, and they'll change immediately because we hit them in their pockets, and then the laws will change. They won't change until we hit them in their pockets because they need us. A $3 trillion buying power. Yes, they need us. If we don't buy, like he said, yes, a small European, a mid-sized European country. But if they need us, then why are we buying from them and then asking them not to kill us? It's ridiculous. The concept is ridiculous.
Definitely agree with a lot of points that you made, but I do believe that we have to do this laterally, and so many systems have to be working at the same time as well.
I mean, everything works. It all works. It's a machine, like you said. It's a system. There are a lot of ways. It's not one answer. It's multiple answers. Obviously, multiple answers.
Yes, and I love your answer, Elliot.
That's what I believe personally.
I just want to make sure that Joel is in the room now, and he represents the protest. He's going to speak on behalf of protesters who have in fact been looting. We just get feedback on that, Joel, because I have not heard that tonight at all.
What was that about the looting?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I before I even touch on that, I wanted to just briefly talk about possible solutions that seems to be real and tangible. I think we currently have a system of education where we have enough black educators that can teach our kids to be more entrepreneurs and to build that entrepreneurial spirit, because the mentality of an entrepreneur is to solve problems. And that's what we're facing, right? So technically, I believe that if we created some form of app to hold politicians accountable, we can track their positions on issues that directly affect us. And if it doesn't align with our views, now you have an app telling you, hey, this guy right here does not align with your views, and next time, vote him out. And since it's an app, it needs to be somewhat relatable, young, hip, and again, if you educate these kids...
Fuck an app, a television network.
Build these apps. Say again?
A television network, an app, a movie. This is what this is.
Right, exactly. I think we need to shift gears and pivot towards creating these type of solutions that fuel the young revolution. I mean, because they are moving stuff, and they are angry, and I mean, I think they're just pointing that. But if we create these apps, we hold these politicians accountable, and then the next thing I believe we need is a total legislative and constitutional reform. So we need a body of lawyers. Where are all the lawyers? Come out and look at every single line of policy, and if it has any kind of systemic bias, systemic racist language in it, take it out, scrap it, contest it, go at it line by line. And I think that's the long road. That's the long game, and I believe that through time we would identify all the loopholes that these cops are getting away with when they go to court. I believe that as far as the protesters and the anger that we see today is because a lot of these kids feel like the rat in the corner. And as you approach the rat to try to grab it, they try to bite you, and you tell them that they're wrong for defending themselves. So then the next approach they take is, all right, well, I'm not going to bite you this time. I'm going to chew a hole through this wall to try to get away. And you tell them they're wrong for that. At this point, it's chaos. At this point, everything I do is wrong. So I'm going to do what I feel I need to do and revolt in the way that I need to revolt. And I think that's what we're seeing out there.
How do you think the looting is helping? How do you think the looting is helping?
Burning of the buildings, rather.
I believe that when you financially disrupt the system, as COVID did, it forced the government to respond in dramatic and drastic ways. As we've seen, they shut the entire economy down, and they did something that every Republican would sort of vote against, which was give people $1,200 to continue to pay their bills, because the collapse of that economic system is more important than anything else.
I agree with that. The bishop brought that up, that racism is not profitable because it shuts all this shit down.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, and I hear you guys when you say, yo, the looting isn't working.
That it makes
and trust me, nobody really wants this heat from the police.
It fucks up business.
But this is getting to the point where if I chew through the wall, I'm gonna get in trouble. If I fight back, I'm gonna get in trouble. And I believe that a lot of drastic things just have to happen for this change to really happen. But
so I know, with all due respect, brother, I just want to quickly jump in. I won't take much time.
We do not have enough black educators to enact what you just described. That's number one. Number two, it is not as simple as, okay, we identify something that's racist in the curriculum and we wipe it away. It is not that simple. These curriculums have multi-million-dollar businesses behind them. If it was that simple, things would be a lot different. So I just want to respectfully put that on the table.
So I want to just rebuttal to that. I totally agree that it's not going to be easy, but that's the point, right? Like, nothing is going to be easy. Getting freedom wasn't easy. Fighting for this equality is not going to be easy. People peacefully walked down Selma and got rocks thrown at them. So nothing is going to be easy.
So wait.
I do think, though.
Are you saying that a black man that has an independent business should be sacrificed over this?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that black stores need to, and entrepreneurs and business owners need to immediately put up signs to let people know that this is a black-owned store. And I wish that the movement is intelligent enough to recognize that.
So you're saying, Joel, are you saying burn these buildings down but not black-owned businesses? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I'm saying, if you're going to loot consciously. I'm not going to encourage anyone to go out there and burn stuff up. But if you're going to loot consciously. Why are you burning a black store if you're fighting for a black cause? It doesn't make sense. So, but if you don't have a sign and I don't know it's black, I'm going to get mine.
I mean, and you know, with all due respect to everybody, again, you know, when we're talking about looting and we're talking about things, these are the symptoms of a problem. We could talk about the symptoms all day. Yeah. But if we're not addressing the sickness itself, the symptoms are never going to stop. These, you know, these are emotions that are coming to, you know, these are years and years and years of frustration that's coming to the level here, you know. And again, I'm not condoning any of the looting, and I'm not saying go destroy and cause anarchy. But at the same time, we have to, the same way we want people to empathize, we have to empathize with the symptoms as well, and empathize and why is this happening.
You know, some of the thoughts that are coming to my mind, and again, it's not right, wrong, or indifferent, but I just feel like, Joel, going back to what you're saying, I'm still trying to gain clarity in this. I'm trying to go from confusion to clarity. So just what they did to Black Wall Street is what you're saying we should do to White Wall Street?
No. I'm not in no...
For the industries? Is that what you're trying to get at?
No, I'm not saying... So Black Wall Street, that was burnt down because they intentionally didn't want the economic uprising of the black community, right? Like, we had a lot of black economic empowerment during that time, and they were thriving, and they did not want that. So racism, I believe to its very core, stems from the lack of opportunities in society, the lack of resources in society. And we're fighting for resources. We're fighting for opportunities. And when you have a thriving black community like Black Wall Street, now that's more people competing with my daughters to get into Harvard or Yale in order to get that Wall Street job that pays them 6 figures for just like sitting in front of a computer and gambling someone else's money. Those are lifestyle changing incomes. And if we're going to compete for that, I'm going to burn your city down. And that's what I believe the burning of Black Wall Street was. So I'm not saying do that. I'm saying that we are so angry because anything we do doesn't seem to be right. If we try to take the peaceful road, it doesn't seem to be right. If we kneel, it doesn't seem to be right. So I'm not in any way saying that the looting is right. But if you're going to loot consciously.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you a millionaire?
Am I a man now?
A millionaire. No. A millionaire.
No, I'm on my way.
If you were, would you still be looting?
If I were a millionaire, would I? First of all, I'm not looting.
Okay.
This is just my position on looting.
Got it.
Right, but you're advocating looting. You're saying looting consciously.
But if you were a millionaire, would you advocate looting? Would you go out there and do all that?
If the system was as
No.
as it is,
If you were a millionaire, yes?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
These people have no...
rethink your opinion, my brother. I would
if those people were looting your business,
Is Betty going to that one?
Looting is bad. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not mad at some of these kids' reactions, right? Because I'm not mad at it because it's the reaction of an action. America's a very reactive country. We're not proactive. We do stuff because we have to do it. We do a 3/5 compromise instead of freeing the slaves. We do civil rights, Jim Crow, because people are acting up. We always do something because we're forced to do it. I understand where you're coming from, my man. I'm not going to advocate looting because it puts black boys in the direct crosshairs of the law enforcement and can get them killed. But I understand a lot. I understand people marching. I understand people doing the blackout thing on social media. I understand all of it. I know where it comes from. Some people are exploiting it, and it's terrible. But I will never say, let's talk about the reaction. Yeah, I would never say loot, and I would say, let's talk about the reaction before the action. We have to stay on point with the action. And if it's solutions that are going to solve the action of police putting their knees on people's necks, or the curriculum, or starting businesses, that's where the conversation should start. I will never listen to anything that talks about the reaction first. Looting, protesting, that's the stuff they do on TV. That's the stuff they're going to do for the next few years. They do it all the time, especially if you're not of this color, of what we are. Don't talk to me about no damn looting if you're not talking about policing and stuff like that. We're not going to be reactive anymore. We're going to be proactive.
Looting is a selfish want. Looting is a selfish want. Looting is not needed. And looting clouds the main message. Looting clouds the main message, right? And I think it's reckless for anyone to advocate looting, rich, poor, or otherwise. Advocating looting.
But y'all understand what he's. Wait. But
let's just talk for a moment. I think that his point is trying to bring understanding as to what looting is happening. And this gentleman said it himself. So we do want to try to understand the why in everything.
But on the economic level, the looting is crippling the economy, and people that weren't affected, like Louis Vuitton, may not been affected unless someone looted. And I think what he was saying was, if you can show that the recourse of racism is that you all are going to be affected, and it's not profitable, then maybe that awareness will make it where racism is not cool. Don't bring it here because you could get my windows broke. And I think that's what he was saying.
Tawana's had her hand up for a long time, so I want to get.
Yes. From the law enforcement perspective, from the black perspective, please, I would love to bring some clarity to this, right? Dame, you're getting close. You're getting close there. I believe it's a system, right? So let me say, we must organize, and I'm with off-ball because we need justice now. I can't wait. Like Marcus was saying, that Marcus is my go-to. Vincent, they're in the position of power for me. That's where I need them to be. I should not have to constantly move around or move up or whatever to get justice or to get what I deserve. So once again, let me go back to the systematic stuff. So we have, because we want this change, we have these young men out there doing what they need to do. They're making sacrifices, and I agree with the young man. Yes, put up your signs, say this is a black-owned business, but yes, they gotta get it, because if I have an oppressive, my boyfriend is beating me up with his fist, right? How am I getting him to stop? I can't fight no man. I gotta get a pot and pan, okay? I gotta beat him upside the head with a pan in order for him to stop. Then guess what? Once he stopped, then he gonna listen to me. Now he gonna hear me. So that's important. So right now we have their attention. Just like Marcus said, I have never heard a politician in my 45 years say the stuff that Cuomo said on TV. I have never seen a white man or officer nonetheless kneel. They kneel because they scared, and they need to be scared right now. They need to listen. They need to listen, because you're not going. If I'm fighting you and we got the same amount of strength, and who's going to overtake who? How am I get you to stop? How am I get you to stop? So right now, everybody got to play their position. Right now, my position as a black officer is to go to work, rally my people, be good to the guys in my community. Like Desiree said, be fair to the young black brothers coming to the system. The teachers, y'all get in there, y'all do teach the Y'all get in there, y'all organize the curriculum, y'all slip stuff and make it happen to educate the kids, the religion, the pastors, y'all be there for the people, feed the people who can't be fed, feed the looters, whoever. Y'all do your part. The politicians that's already there, help push these laws. Once again, we already have a law. We gotta fight for justice, okay? Just like if my son was riding with 3 of his friends and he gets pulled over and one of his friends got a gun, all of them is going to jail. All of them are going to jail, no doubt about it, no questions asked, no march, no stop, no nothing. They're all going to jail. So right now, we got to continue to push for justice and continue to be heard. Okay? And the only way you're going to get heard is if you're stronger and you're powerful and you're putting the fear of Jesus in the people who don't understand none of the languages we speak. You got to speak the language they speak.
Now, in street,
That's the language they speak.
and now in street terms, real quick. In street terms,
I'm sorry, but you're in a position as a celebrity because you're playing your position too, having this forum for us to come together, and also everybody's pooling their money to bail out these young men who are sacrificing for the cause. So everybody got a position, and I appreciate all the positions, but I think that's what everybody needs to do: organize the celebrities, continue to keep the money, or however it needs to be done to get our message out and to get justice.
In street terms, we were taught that for peace, we had to make examples out of niggas. So sometimes it would be like if somebody violates, you have to let people know what will happen if you violate again. And I think that's what's maybe happening right here. Yes. And I definitely want to hear OG speak to that.
That's how the mob operates. Don't the mob operate like that?
Yes.
But they're saying that these systems are also operating as mobs.
Absolutely.
It's having the same mob mentality, but it's more organized in uniform.
Organized crime uniform.
I don't know. But then how do you be? But there's some people who are still subscribing to the system. They're officers. They're making a difference. Marcus said earlier, getting into different ranks, and he's been holding people accountable. And it's like, how do you be in the system but not of the system that doesn't represent?
But once again, you have to have courage. Mark is in the courage. Like, if he's my captain. Vinny is my lieutenant, okay? If I'm having an issue, I need you to speak up for me. I shouldn't have to take a test and whatever. Yes, I can move up whenever I feel like it, but I shouldn't have to take the test to get the justice or the fairness or to be heard at this moment as an officer. Maybe I'm needed in my position as just being an officer. So Marcus and everybody who's up in their ranks or in their position, play your position. Get courageous and talk the talk, walk the walk, push for your people, push for them. You have to,
and you have
to have I'm Brooklyn. You gotta have heart.
So I think you have the privilege of having someone like Marcus and Lieutenant Vincent, who are both in the room. Yes, at your advantage because they're very consciously aware, regardless of the position that they play. You have them at your advantage. Not a lot of people have Marcus and Lieutenant Mike in their system.
No, this is true. This is true. But I'm saying, but in the meantime, y'all have to work together. So if you have one Marcus in the NYPD and 3 Marcuses in the court, so we have to communicate. We have to find a forum because we got blacks in law enforcement. They have.
Are you also then recommending that the Marcuses and the Lieutenant Vinnies and all these people try to find each other and formulate maybe a coalition?
Yes, that would make sense. That would make sense.
And what are your thoughts on that, Marcus and Lieutenant Vincent? Marcus? Captain Marcus?
All right. I think that's a great idea. But one thing I would say, and Tawana, I feel your emotion, for real. I feel your emotion. Is when you get up to a certain point, like with every institution that we're talking about, it's about power. So when I spoke earlier, when I said moving up, I need more than one Marcus in this group. I needed to be a bunch of us. I needed to be a bunch of us to be able to supervise and get direction and try to control what's taking place under your watch. So I wasn't, and again, we need officers to be officers, but we also need more people to get promoted. But yes, I do believe other supervisors that's like-minded like me, and we're trying to come together because it's across the board, law enforcement in general, across the board. When we talk about our nonprofit organization,
it's officers from across the board. One thing I would say, we talk about solutions, there's a lot of organizations out there trying to do the right thing, but we don't get the support. So we already have officers that's coming together. We have city corrections, state corrections, the courts. We have NYPD, we have Port Authority. We have officers that's giving up their personal time, going into these communities that people forget about, mentoring kids that's involved in the courts, teaching other kids how to get involved in the community and do community service, giving them the ideas to be creative, show that they're leaders. So we are out here doing it, but we have to do it through a different organization. And I think we can't forget that there's other avenues for us to find solutions and still utilize our platform as officers. So I think if we're looking for solutions, they're there. You're not going to see a commercial from us, but because I feel like with us, a lot of things got to hit us in the face. But if we really want to find it, we got to get out there and be proactive, because organizations is out there and we need support. We need support. Funding is coming from the people that's involved in that and a few donations that we get, but we need support because we out there trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely. There are a lot of people.
Sorry to cut you off, Tawana. Marcus Durant, could you give your your solution statement from your position then?
From my position, I would say on the job, I think we really have to understand, me as a supervisor, I'm gonna talk for myself. Me as a supervisor, I gotta make sure that I hold my officers accountable. That's on the job. Off the job, I gotta utilize my platform. Going through Leo Hearted Cares is a way of doing that, a way of reaching out to the community, a way of working with the youth, a way of giving them a better way. Mentoring is extremely important to every young kid that doesn't have the proper guidance.
Marcus,
I feel like that goes without being said. Like we have
Marcus, should those other officers that were there on the job be charged with murder?
Repeat that. Say that one more time.
The other officers that were there when George was getting choked out and killed, should they be charged?
I believe they should. And from one of the attorneys that was speaking to Floyd's family said they will be charged. So we got to wait and see. But I believe they should. I mean, I think Tawana gave a good point. If my son is out in the car with some people and they do something they shouldn't do, get in the car and drive off. When they get arrested, when they get pulled over, they all getting arrested. So, yes, I do feel that way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Lieutenant Vincent,
Thank you.
Do you want to say something?
I think that was big.
We needed that response. Thank you so much, Marcus.
Thank you, Marcus.
You're welcome.
This is Lieutenant Vincent here. Just to echo the sentiments of, Marcus, I'm a big believer as well that if we're talking about a system, that we need representation within that system. So when we talk about the plight of what law enforcement is to the Black community, we need representation in order to have a voice when the decisions are made, have a voice when there is a problem. So to the room, and to the people and the communities that are very stark in their position, I just feel as though we need representation in these different, or at these different tables. So when it comes down to it, as far as solutions, personally, I feel as though mental health is definitely a big one that we need to address right now during these times. The term trauma came up several times, during the conversations, and our mental health isn't something that we're taking into consideration during the traumas that we're dealing with. So just in general, I think that we here, especially with Leo Hearted Cares, we're trying.
Can you please define what Leo Hearted Care stands for?
So Leo Hearted Cares is a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to increase public safety and strengthen ties between law enforcement and community. We do a number of things between mentoring kids and court direct kids. We have art shows. We have different low impact events.
Officers, correct?
All of our mentors are in law enforcement. So as Marcus mentioned, either courts, corrections, PD, Port Authority, state corrections, things of that sort. So officers come out volunteer at the time.
And your statement of solution would, from the perspective of lieutenant, would be what exactly, Vincent?
Solution-wise right now, if I'm thinking immediate, for the now, I would have to say that I believe that it would be us discussing our...
You have completely cut off. Sorry. How about now, Vincent? Could you speak?
Melanie, in the meantime, I'm the board president of Leo Hart. And I work, Vinny and Marcus are my brothers. Marcus is my big brother, Vinny is my little brother. But I will say this, we are very proactive in the community. We are out there every Saturday. We volunteer our time. We also work with Randy Gordon. We have a social worker. We're lightly staffed, but we have the staff we need to push the agenda, to be there for the kids. But I will say this, it's a lot about putting your money where your mouth is, okay? Because people will say they're gonna show up. I'm an action person. You have to be there. You have to do what you say you're gonna do. It's not enough to just talk about it. I think that's where we are in a point of change and looking for the climate to change, to push for justice. Everybody who's in the positions, like I said, you have to push for the change. You have to step up. It's courageous.
I think that's why I'm asking everyone to give us a statement of solutions, but then I could, because once you just say it, you're professing it with your mouth, and now we can sit back and watch.
Exactly.
That's the purpose of me purposely asking for a solution. Before I move forward, my daughter keeps pulling my arm. She's 11 years old. She wants to say something. It's been 2 hours. It will be nice to hear something come from a youth. It's unorthodox as a social worker to even bring my child involved, but I think that this is something important. So Savannah, if you want to speak, you can go ahead, but you got 1 minute because there's a lot of people that need to speak. Which, by the way, I'm raising a black child as an Afro-Latina. Go ahead, Savannah.
I just wanted to say that, with the people who want to tear buildings down, I feel like I don't want to judge you, but I feel like we should instead, I don't think we should do that because I don't think it's right, and you don't know who's in those buildings. You don't know if you're risking a black person's life. So yeah, and
go ahead, baby, it's okay.
And I feel like I just want black people to come together, and I don't want this war to keep on happening because I don't think that white people should just judge people, to just judge black people just based on the color of their skin. And I love my skin. I don't want people to judge people because of that. I just want a black person and a white person to come together and go to a table and work things out and come to a compromise, because I just want peace, and I just want America to be great again. So yeah.
Thank you, baby. Thank you so much. Go ahead, wipe your face. And I want you to write down a reflective journal, please. Thank you. Sorry about that. Definitely, you can hear from the youth that it's impacting them as well. And so, again, this as elders, I'm glad that we had a moment to really just vent it out and to play our positions, because we needed that. And some of you may be in here, you may be saying all right, let's get over with that part. But we do need a platform to allow ourselves to at least say what our positions are, and to at least vent what our perspectives are. Because it's perspective. Everyone is living their individual human experience in the subsystem that they subscribe to. So it doesn't matter. You may look at Bishop Purnell, his feedback, and you may have an opinion. You may be a clergy, you may have an opinion. But at the end of the day, we all know that we're all living out human experiences based on our environments and our conditions. And at the end of the day, we have kids who are watching us. We have kids who need to know, like Akbar said, what are we doing? they're feeling it. If my 11-year-old didn't show you just now, I mean, at this point, it's like, what are we doing for now? The policy is maybe step 2, 3, 4, 5. The coalitions are step 2, 3, 4, 5. But what can we say? And let's start to close this out so it makes sense for us. What can we say that we can commit to do right now? And one statement, no explanation. No explanation. Please don't be winded. With all due respect, my brothers and sisters. But there is now 38 of us.
Just listen first. First, just listen. That's all I'm saying.
So let's start to get to the closing of this, because it's almost 11 now, at least in New York. And what is the statement of commitment that I will do with the position that I have?
I will listen.
So I'm not ready to respond, but I really just want you to say, you know, I'll start off. I am a social worker. I am a therapist, and I will continue to use my license and my registered license to hold my role to the utmost ability to make sure that I infuse mental health as much as possible for the people who need it every day until we continue to figure this out. That is what I'm going to do. Dane.
I'm going to continue to use my platform, and I'm going to make sure that all my programming is used for the evolution and the empowerment, the self-awareness, and also having solutions, understanding our history only to make sure our future is better, and also make sure that everyone that's trying to help economically is empowered.
Thank you. Jerome Ceballos.
As a municipal bond broker, DJ, and entrepreneur at heart, I will use my platform to continue to promote great music to kind of uplift our people through hard times. But more importantly, I just started coding, and I pledged to build an app that kind of makes legislation cool and brings it to the forefront in a social way, so that we can take control of our future by I guess being more engaged, involved from the tip of our fingertips. So yeah, I mean, I just pledged to build something that can move us forward.
Thank you. Ali Badi, I'm sorry I didn't pronounce it right.
It's Alabi, a Nigerian. Sorry, my name is very different, but to me, the blessings never finish, and I am blessed to be in a position where I am they say dean. I don't really like to say the name dean, behavior intervention specialist, and I will learn to listen. Just listen. Like, kids will tell you about yourself. They will tell you about themselves. They will tell you the truth. Like your eloquent daughter said it. Like she just wanted to say what she had to say, and it came from her heart. Kids are some of the most unbiased people in the world in that they haven't seen the things we've seen yet, so they're very pure. So if we listen to the most pure human beings on earth, we will learn a lot, because a lot of the fights are between adults and tradition and family, but it's really not about us. It's about the children that we see, whether we're in the clergy, whether we're in entertainment, whether we're in schools, whatever we're in. Just listen and take those lessons and apply it to whatever you're doing. And if you remember who you're listening to, from those pure hearts, those babies, we'll all be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Dennis? You're muted. You're muted, bro.
Continue to encourage school leaders, not only on my platform, but across this country, to empower their students and their families as much as possible by letting them know that that they are special and that they are dope individuals. I think what I hear from your daughter is there's a value system in what she says, and I think we got to really again create that value system for all of our young people, for them to know that what they do is special. And for them to know that it's not just a bunch of adults sitting at, in a Zoom conference having adult conversation, but ultimately that this conversation is about us. How can we help them? That we should never walk out of this room thinking about this was about us trying to solve a problem for us, but to try to solve the problem for the young people that are coming right after us. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh Pierre. I see you.
I wanna first thank the sister. I only see her name as iPad. I think when
Tawana.
My bad, Tawana. I think what she talked about was basically about being organized and each of us doing what our role is. And my role as someone in the political sphere is to push legislation, and I commit to pushing legislation with the underlying focus to being money, economics, and how we get more resources within our community. That's my commitment to you guys and my community. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Tawana.
Yes. Okay, my goal, I guess, is twofold. As an officer, I want to acknowledge that what happened to George Floyd was wrong. I also want to apologize to everyone in my community that has been suffering by the hands of the police. And I'm also willing to accept the fact that we got a lot more to do. And I'm accepting the responsibility of stepping in as a Black officer to do my part. As a Black woman, I'm going to continue to push for equality, justice, and peace for my people and for my son. Like you said, this is not for me. It's for my kids, and it's for my son, and for his children, and for my grandchildren. That's what I'm going to do to play my position.
Thank you very much. Bishop Purnell.
I want to say, once again, I'm very thankful to be here. I found all of this empowering. To be in the same club as so many Black and brown intellectuals, innovative thinkers. I believe very heavily and boldly that the Heavenly Father has called me and called you guys to build a new America. And I do believe we're going to defeat white supremacy. It's an octopus with many different legs. I believe we have the skills. I believe we have the integrity. And I believe the baton has been passed down from Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. It's been passed down to us, and it's time for us to make history. I was beyond blessed.
Thank you. Elliot, all laid back and stuff. Come on back.
Let me say, first of all, thank you all for coming. This is a beautiful group. It's been a beautiful discussion, and I love the fact that we didn't always agree. That's very positive. That means we can do it. I'm going to continue to push that we are powerful and that it's our power and our position, and we have to take ownership of our situation, and we don't have to ask them for anything. If we take ownership for our situation, this is what I teach my sons. Win or lose, you own it, and I'm going to keep pushing that with all my people, my OSG people. I push that with my boys, the world famous, the same way. It's our situation. We have to take power and take control of it. And it's a war. Nobody gonna give you nothing. And the history is written by the victors. So let's go out there and win. Salute.
Thank you. Pastor Stephen Eugene Carter.
Again, let me say to Melody and to each of you, it's been a pleasure being on this call tonight. I was able to learn and receive insights from many others. We're going to continue to be a church that's not just a Sunday gathering place, but continue to be a church that uses our facility and our resources to empower our community, which, if you're in Brooklyn, you know that's what we seek to do. So we commit to continuing making sure that the community we serve is impacted through our resources.
Thank you, Pastor, for speaking on behalf of your church. But could you just say what you are going to commit to as a solution-based in everything that's going on?
Yes, well, one of the things that I'm definitely going to commit to is working with our local politicians, be it Hakeem Jeffries, be it others, to try to seek better legislation and various things that can impact our communities immediately versus constantly waiting and peddling for things that's not just impacting our community. So I'm going to continue to interact with the people who make the powers.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Captain Marcus Durham. I'm sorry, I got
on the job, I'm going to continue to honor my oath. I'm going to ensure that the office that I supervise, as well as myself, treat people with professionalism, courtesy, and respect. As for Leo Hearted, I'm going to still utilize my platform, expand to reach more communities, be able to touch more kids, be able to really empower them, because honestly, that's the direction. That's really where this change is going to come from. I heard someone say it probably won't be this generation. So we have to make sure that we guide the next generation. So we're going to continue to do that. And as a father, I'm just going to, because Melody, your daughter, man, like that struck a chord. And as a father, I will continue to be there for my kids, to listen and give them all the advice that I can. Show them how much I love them and how important they are. And regardless of what's going on in the world, have their self-esteem, know that they're strong enough and, powerful enough to handle anything. And that's it for me. And I also thank you very much for having me, to allow me to be a part of this conversation. Thank you.
Correction Officer Desiree, retired Correction Officer Desiree.
Yes. What I pledge to do is to continue to help feed and clothe and assist the people in need in my neighborhood, as I have done and always will do. And one of the other things that I haven't done, which has always plagued me, was I wanna try to get with legislation, because the thing that's plagued me for so long is the fact that anyone under 18 to 15, they could take a plea without a parent being present. That's bothered me since I've been in law enforcement. I don't know why, but they say that an attorney is the adult that represents them. They don't represent them for their best interests. The parents are never called. So to keep children from having records for no reason, because they're afraid, and a lot of them were afraid to go home to their parents and tell them they got arrested. So they would take a plea for jumping a turnstile. They would take a plea for everything. I just think that we have to change that. That needs to be changed.
So Officer Desiree, an advocate for becoming more informative for the youth as it relates to juvenile justice, correct?
Definitely.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Chelsea.
First of all, thank you guys so much for letting me listen. There were times when I wanted to speak, but I felt like it was much more important for me to actively listen and end up passing along a lot of the really beautiful comments and thoughts that you guys made to my platform, which doesn't always get to hear these sorts of thoughts and ideas. And I'm really just blown away from the bottom of my heart by how productive this whole call was. So thank you guys for letting me listen to the whole thing. I guess for me, it's sort of several parts. As a corporate leader in America, I'm just going to continue to hire and promote from the Black community, promote into the C-suite, promote onto the various boards of public companies in America, so that you guys can all become the future leaders and present leaders in corporate America, which is one of the best ways to be empowered if we're actually going to keep this system. And that's a whole other conversation that I'd love to get into in a future call. But if we're actually going to keep this system, the best way where you can be the strongest and affect the most change is to become a leader in the boardrooms and in the C-suite of corporate America. And I'm going to continue to proactively do my part to hire and promote from within.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. And just echoing that, I want to say it would be nice to see maybe when we do this again, some corporate leaders who are for us and want to support, to be in the building so that they can use their position of power, whether white, Black, or indifferent, to support the cause some way, somehow. So it would be nice if you can identify those folks and make sure that it's built next time.
Yeah, I'm happy to. It's about as rigged as a system as I can imagine.
As one of the solutions that you'll be able to contribute to us, if that's okay. Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you.
See you nodding. Moody.
Thank you very much, and I concur with everybody. I really appreciate the ability to be able to be on the call. And I want to say I'm just going to commit, I'm going to commit to continuing to empower our young people who are the change that will give us some light at the end of this tunnel. And really quickly, the gentleman who came and spoke about looting and all those things, I will commit to not be judgmental, to not claim that something is totally wrong when in fact there are some people who could probably just as eloquently express why the looting is correct in certain situations, like what happened down in New Orleans when the town is chaotic and people are trying to survive and they're looting. So there is a time when looting is okay. So people can make the stance of something illegal being okay at times and then other times not. But I'm going to commit to being passionate in support of our young people and giving them the platform to come up with these solutions along with us, like your daughter did. If we put them in a room and allow those people to speak that truth, the young people, the youth are closer to the truth than any adult. The older we get, the more we lie. And that's why I love young people. That's why I love working with young people, because they tell us the truth. And what's happening is the people are fed up. I'm excited, unfortunately, during this time, is because now people are awake. We are a sleeping giant. People have been sleeping for years. Now what we see is people are woke. People were at step -1. If the process says we start at 0, we were at -0. So now hopefully we're at a point to where we're at least at ground zero. So now we can move forward. So I love this conversation, and I apologize. I kept my quiet, but thank you very much. Love you all.
Moody, I'm snapping my fingers not because I'm for nor against, but why I'm snapping my fingers in excitement is because I feel like one of the purposes of tonight was met based on your comment, and that is that it's okay to play a different position than another person. It's okay to not understand the perspective of the other, but it's most definitely okay as well to actually voice the fact that you say to someone who may not have had your perspective, I get it. And I think that because you said that, Moody, you made me feel like I did my job. Thank you. Thank you. Anisha Jacko. Anisha, unmute please. Trying to wrap this up. A lot of people want to have to go. So it's 11 p.m. in New York, even though it's probably 8 in LA. Jacko, we're going to come back to you. Work on your mic. Okay, I see you nodding. Good. Johnson, Wooten Johnson.
Good evening. Thank you again, everyone. It was a wonderful discussion. Everyone was very passionate. I wrote in the chat, my solution, I'm just going to continue to teach the truth to the young Black youth. No, I'm just kidding. Teach the truth and love the babies, teach them their history, hold the adults accountable in my building, do what I can in my square and consciously stop financially supporting people and companies that don't like Black people. I haven't always done that in the past, so I think that I can commit to actively understanding and trying to do spend my dollars more wisely. So that's what I'm trying to do. Thank you
so much. Taj, while you sitting there, because I'm going to run through the rest of the line, could you copy and paste everyone's comment, put it into a Word document, and send it to me, please? Because I don't have the time while I'm moderating. It's impossible for you to do that, Taj. Copy and paste everyone's comment, put it in a Word document, and send it over to me to make sure that it has been addressed, or we have it documented to make sure that we can address it for the next time, and so that we can make sure that we have everybody's email address, if it's okay. Or
Nicolette's doing it.
Nicolette's doing it because I can't do it and moderate at the same time.
You have Nick do that, Dan?
Yeah, she's doing it.
I did it.
She did it already. Done.
Perfect. Where are we?
Hi.
Hill, Miss Hill. Oh, Jacko, you're back. All right, Miss Jacko.
Hi, yes, thank you for this opportunity. This has been, it just blew my mind to have the perspective of our officers. And so I think one of the things is using my positional power to really engage in a number of our teacher training programs. I think it's something similar to how police officers are trained. So I want to use some of my positional power with the community and local colleges to really build a social network of really engaging conversation and what that means between policing people and our school system. It just blew my mind of like how integrated it is and the systematic racism that we are all kind of dealing with within this system. And so it's really making me think about the power of conversation and how we can use our platforms to really make a decision. And last thing, I think what we could do is have a mayoral seat and a position of someone who is that person who can integrate all the city agencies. So we're all having the same message. So if this is something that needs to happen in police training, it needs to happen in teacher training, right? Because whatever the systems that we need and what's lacking, it comes from our children. And I think that's one of the things we have, those positional powers as those role models, as school leaders, as a principal myself. I'm going to step up and do that in Manhattan. And I live in Queens, and I would definitely love to connect to do that through my sorority and civic organizations.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jacko. As a licensed master social worker, we are trained to collect data, so I will make sure that Dane sends over the recording of tonight's message to translate it into data to get that out to you guys so that we can make sure that this information is used to the best of our ability. And I will make sure that I also add that to part of my solutions.
Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome. Ms. Hill.
Good evening, everybody. So first of all, as a principal, I'm going to continue to hold people accountable. And I think earlier in my career, you worried about how that would be seen, or you tried to correct people and give them all these chances. But really, we can't afford to have any more people in our schools that do not support what our agenda is. I have my own curriculum, and it is based on being honest. It's based on being honest with the students, being honest with the staff and the families. If you're doing wrong, I'm going to check you. I'm no longer going to deal with the educational mafia that exists. I'm more like a quiet riot, because I sit and marinate, and I watch and listen, and I watch people's moves, and then I go for what I know. And I'm listening to everybody, and I'm taking in all these viewpoints. But from my position, I'm going to play my position. I'm going to continue to play my position and make sure that I'm leading from a place where, there's no more tolerance. Let me just say that.
Thank you. So you're definitely gonna call out what you can, and when
I'll call them out from the top to the bottom.
Thank you very much, Christine Raymond. Haven't heard from you all night, Ms. Raymond.
Hi. I've been taking notes and listening. I really appreciate being part of this conversation. As an educator, the first thing that I vow to do is to continue to have these conversations, not just with my students, but with the other community members. I had to have a difficult conversation with my principal just yesterday and express how I didn't appreciate the way she was handling things, and how we need to have conversations about this. It's so very important, especially being that I work in a community, as many of us do, with mostly Black and brown children. It is a huge gaffe, in my opinion, and that's putting it lightly, to not have these discussions. So I vow to continue to call people out, much like Ms. Hill just mentioned. I also plan to continue to affirm the identities of my students. They need to know that they're loved. They need to know that they're valuable. They need to know that they have unlimited potential, something that when they watch TV, they oftentimes forget, which is not acceptable. And lastly, as a music teacher, I vow to share music that where the lyrics kind of, discuss these injustices, we can kind of analyze that. And I also want to promote music that shares, the message of peace and justice and community. Because at the end of the day, many people mentioned tonight the necessity to come together as a community to overcome what we're experiencing. When we're divisive, that is when we fall apart. And that is why, someone said the LGBTQ community has got it going on and people are scared of them. We're next. Let's go. So,
and also, let me just, Jewish community as well. They literally took a flag in Israel, planted the flag and said, we are the Jews.
We are next. We are on next.
The Jews. Yes. The Jews took a flag and established themselves as the Jews, and from then they took off. So it's that mindset. I just want to add in there. Dr. Malik Smalls.
Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for such a beautiful conversation, and I hope that this conversation turns into action. But it's important that we had this conversation and exchange of ideas. As a principal, I commit and continue to commit to hiring people and putting people in front of our children. We're going to nurture our children. We're going to let our children know how beautiful and how important, how incredible they are, because it starts with who it is that we put in front of our children. I'm going to continue to teach, regardless of what curriculum is given to me. I'm always going to offer a different curriculum to my students and ensure that they know who they are, ensure that they know their history, ensure that they know that they are not descendants of slaves. They're descendants of a great people who had their experience interrupted by slavery. I'm going to use my position to ensure that my students have voice and that they can advocate for themselves and that they know how to protest responsibly and take part as social justice warriors. I'm going to use my position as a principal. I'm in control of millions of dollars. I'm going to continue to use my position and dollars of power to support businesses that support our communities and that support our children and whose owners look like us and whose owners are committed to giving back to our children and to our community. And those are the things that I'm going to commit to do and recommit to do as a principal in New York City.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Small. Reverend Glover, sorry.
Thank you so much. I am going to make a commitment as Ms. Raymond to commit to the conversation. I'm going to commit to personal and communal growth, as well as partnership and collectivity. I will commit to the building of community where I am planted, and just like an ivory, I'm going to branch out. I had the opportunity to do that tonight. And I am so thankful to you, the moderators. I'm thankful for every panelist that had something to say. I'm thankful to Mr. Moody for introducing me to this and giving me this opportunity. I thank all of you. You all have great insight. You got fire and you got fervor. And I love each of our narratives. God bless each and every one of you. And remember that it is okay not to have the answer. We are living in times where there are uncertainty all over. Do not bash yourself because you don't have the answer. Nobody has the answer. The doctors don't have the answer. The politicians don't have the answer. There is one that has the answer. And whether you call that one Yahweh, God, Buddha, Jesus, or no Jesus, however you want to say it, I'm saying thank you. And I'm going to also commit to loving everyone unconditionally. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Glover. Akbar, Principal Akbar. Akbar keep writing in the chat. I gotta go, guys. I really gotta go. I'm trying to stay, but I really gotta go. I gotta go. So thank you so much for still staying anyway. Akbar, go ahead.
Just want to say thank you for this platform, Dane, just being the man of your word. Uncle Lays, Dennis, for having the OSG up here. We appreciate you. Melody and Taj, you guys are great mediators. I will just continue to be the change I want to see, do unapologetically and be a disruptor like Dame talks about. And the babies are watching, y'all. They watching us. So what we do right now is paramount. And like Melody's daughter came here, they watching. They really want. We got to show them something. And I'm gonna show my ass the right way. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Officer Vincent, Lieutenant Vincent. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. His camera's off. We're going to move on and come back to him. John English.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
First, I just want to thank Dennis for inviting me to this platform. I really appreciate it. Thank all of you for your perspective. I will definitely commit as an educator to keep growing, to educate the students and my young people in my community. As an educational leader and principal, like Lays Elliott and Moody said, the conversations that we had tonight, we don't always have to agree, but we always have to be willing to have those fierce conversations and respect one another for everyone's perspectives, and just continue to learn and grow. So I will continue to learn and grow and help my community and help our young brothers and sisters grow and be productive people in this world. And I just appreciate you all, and I hope these conversations can continue and grow and help us help our communities for generations to come. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. Vincent, are you back? Lieutenant Vincent, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Brandy Gordon.
There was a shooting in Brooklyn, 19 to 25 shots. Someone didn't put their weapon down.
Is that from an officer or civilian?
Believe NYPD.
An officer shot someone 19 to 15 times? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I just got received.
Okay. I mean, it's tough out there right now. It really is, man.
We need some kind of, there's a shift happening, right? And I don't know, I'm talking out of turn, but it's just in my spirit. It's just something happening. It's just different.
What we need is a real president, and we don't have one.
Yeah, we need, it's a shift. There's a shift happening, and it's like an earthquake in our bones right now. And it's just making us uncomfortable. And so whoever and whatever we feel is like, that it's just a shift. And there's a reason why we're all connected, because I would have never talked to anybody here before. But there's a reason why we're here right now. There's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why my kids are up. There's a restlessness happening, and it's a shift. And this is gonna be an important night in history for us. I believe that as New Yorkers, as just whoever we are and you attribute to, this is an important night.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jackson.
To add to that story, just to give you clarity, the man that was shot by the police they said he had just shot somebody that was trying to crawl away. So there's more context to whatever happened.
So the civilian was shooting at someone, so the cops fired back? Is that what you're saying, Elliot?
He had already shot the guy. The guy was trying to get away, and the cops shot him to stop him from, I guess, continuing to shoot the guy that he had already shot. That's what the story is saying right now.
Is it in lieu to the protests and everything going on, or is this a separate matter?
What it says is a separate matter. It has nothing to do with the protests. It's just everything.
We are past curfew. It is past curfew.
Right. Well, it's good to know what's going on there. I'm sure we've all been focused on here tonight, so when we get off, our social media platforms will be flooded with a lot of things that are going on. So I'm glad that we're distracted with this and not that for the now. But thank you for the update. We're going to probably run into as soon as we log off here. Lieutenant Vincent, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your camera's still off. I'm moving on. Raymond. I haven't heard from you all night, Ms. Raymond.
Sorry.
How's your check? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I am currently in school getting my administration license to be a principal, and I'm taking all of this in. That's why I didn't speak up too much, but speaking as what I will do within my role, I work with emotionally disturbed students in special education and in a very rough area, and I think that it's important to educate our students so that they have the opportunity. And I think opportunity is a key word in everything that's happening here in
with all these social injustices that happen is that they, you know, there's certain population that has more opportunity than our black and brown kids, and we need to give them those tools. And I think by what we're doing right here is we're giving them those tools. We're working on getting them those tools. So I will do my part in that sense. And I think another part that I don't think we really touched upon too much is educating our parents. I think our parents are not really, they don't know how to educate their children on what's going on right now. And as an educator, between my sister and I and other educators, we're, you know, grappling with how do we bring this to the table to educate our kids and, you know, figure out how they're doing. How do we check in, especially since, you know, the DOE is not giving us these tools to talk to our kids. You know, they're not providing that resource. So it's like we have to figure out how we can talk to the parents and doing it in a way so that, you know, it's not coming back to administration. I don't mean to ramble, but I just think that, you know, a lot of times it's hard to make these connections. And if we're supposed to be building these relationships with the kids and the parents and everything, you know, we need the tools, you know.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rankin. I appreciate your feedback. Please make sure that you have sent me your email in the group chat, or I would say private DM, but if you send me the private DM, I won't get it as soon as we log off. So if you sent me your email as a private DM, please put it back as a now a public DM, so that Dane's administrators can make sure that they document it and send it over to me. But Lieutenant Vincent, your pledge, let's keep it short and simple. People need to get out of here. We're approaching midnight.
My apologies, guys. I've been having technical issues. But my pledge is to stay steadfast in the mission that, you know, myself, Marcus, Tawana, and every other officer that's in this particular group, I'm sure, shares. And that being the example and pillar of what it is that you would like to see from law enforcement. And through that, you know, especially on a career and professional level, working in the academy and actually shaping some of the newer officers, you know, trying to infiltrate and trying to build, you know, mutual understanding and empathy as much as possible when officers go out into the world and, you know, advance in their careers. As far as a young black male, I will continue to talk to, spend time, and not spend, but invest time in my younger men, my younger females. I do have a little sister that, you know, I'm always worried about, and, you know, things of that sort. So between cousins and family and friends and everybody else, you know, when I look at my people, especially the next generation behind me, I just want to make sure that we lay out the game plan and that we're educating them and bringing them into the world that as best equipped as we can. So to my clergymen, to my educators, to my counselors, to my everybody else that's here present and that's listening, thank you. And just to echo kind of the sentiment of Tawana earlier, you know, us staying in the lane and doing the work that we are already doing, but just doing it continuously and being steadfast in what it is that we're doing, I think is the important thing. This issue is a very, very deep-rooted, multi-layered, multi-dimensional issue. There is no one answer to it, and that is why we need the diversity in what it is that we do. And like I mentioned earlier, we need that representation at the table as well. So to the young people that are listening, please, you have a forum here where people that are in these positions that have the platforms that are doing the work. We need you to pick up that torch and continue that march. We need you to continue to get higher and achieve more and strive for more than what we're doing currently. Because we're opening the doors, and the doors are there for you to walk through. It's just that you have to actually walk through them. You know, in the words of Frederick Douglass, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. You know, and Frederick Douglass, one of my favorite black scholars, not simply for the magnificent man that the incredible man that he was, but also the fact that he was a U.S. Marshal. So, the thing that you have to keep in mind is that as we kind of go through this time and understand the plight of where we are with law enforcement and our community, we must stay steadfast in what it is that we're doing, everybody in this room and also the next generation behind us to pick up that torch.
Thank you so much. And Smitty said, as a father to a 17-year-old, I will continue to build and grow that relationship and model it for her, how a man should behave and treat a woman. As a mentor, my brother's keeper, I will continue to encourage and support and empower our young men to be a better version of themselves daily and to live their truth in hopes that it will impart the same to others. It only takes one to impact an entire generation. Each one, teach one. Adrian Hill, thank you everyone for this important, timely, and valuable conversation. I'm looking forward to converting our thoughts into actions. Peace. Randy, I'm trying to wrap up. Let's try to keep it shorter, guys, please, because our counterparts are trying to be respectful by staying logged in, but they probably have to go.
Got you, careful. Thank you guys for having this discussion tonight. I actively listened. Gotta say, I've been exhausted this year from COVID to now dealing with this. I feel like a repeating cycle. But I know my pledge is for me as a social worker, is to be better, just to push the bar even further, and to understand, I do know that there are a lot of racism that happen, but you gotta counteract it as much as possible, and to show those around me, things are possible if we're resilient. Because one thing I know, Black people are resilient as well. That's the only thing I can say right now. Those are my thoughts at the moment. I hope you guys have a great night.
Thank you very much. Kristen Raymond, are you related to the other Raymond?
Yeah, that's my sister. I already went though.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we're wrapping up. Samuel Pierre, you're in here. Do you want to speak? Samuel Pierre, I believe he's a part of the Haitian American Caucus. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Samuel, you're not here. Pierre, Josh Pierre, did you speak? We're wrapping up, guys. I think there's maybe 4 more. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Daniel Alexander, court officer. 5, 4, 3. She's here.
Hi, I'm here. I'm right now just so numb, and it's been between COVID, like what I was saying, and the constant attack on our people. It's just been exhausting. As a court officer, I pledge to continue to make the experience of people coming into the court system as easy as possible because it's a stressful situation. I pledge to continue to protect any of my colleagues when they say or do anything that's disrespectful, racist, no matter who they are. As a Black woman and a member of the community, I pledge to continue to make sure that everyone around me is involved and aware of what's going on. And something that I'm not really good at in regards to after I vote, I tend not to hold the local politicians' feet to the fire. I don't make phone calls. I vote and then pretty much that's it. And, like what you guys were saying earlier about legislation, they're the ones who have the ability to do that. So my pledge is to really stay on top of that and make sure all the things they promised when they wanted to receive a vote, that they keep their promise, which is that's what will happen. And as a real-hearted mentor, I pledge to continue to work with the young people and show them that the choice or the mistake that they made doesn't define the rest of their life.
Thank you very much. Josh, the question is, what's your statement of solution, or what is your pledge before we exit out?
Yeah, my pledge continues to be, I really believe that the solutions to a lot of our problems lie in each of us doing our part. There needs to be people doing the things that are happening in the street right now in order for the people in the halls of power to have leverage to negotiate and make changes in terms of legislation. There needs to be people cutting the budget deals and understanding how a budget works in order to ensure that we have the housing that we need and we have proper school funding. So I pledge to continue in that direction.
Thank you so much. Nicolette, OG, and Simone, and we're closing out, guys. Nicolette's an administrator. OG. Everybody but wait, OG, speak up. 5, 4, 3, 1. Okay, then you go.
I think what it is 3 solutions for me. The 3 things I suggest as solutions. The long-term solution is that we might not be able to reach everybody outside of our circle, but if every man and every woman raise their kids the proper insight, I think the long-term solution will have a chance in correcting a lot of things. Second, I think if we want to do something as far as a solution now, we need to go at the pockets of these companies. Nothing hurts them more than their money. So if we can identify where to spend our money, who to spend it with, who not to spend it with, and make some changes that way, let them feel the effects of the money that we spend, I think that's another solution. And the third solution is that I think it's time for us to fight. I think it's truly time for this generation to stand up and fight for our kids so they won't have to fight. Because when United States have their wars and they have these nuclear conflicts, they're about to explode and we're going to suffer from their issues. But at the same time, we never really fought for our own issues. This country was built on the blood of our backs. And I think it's time for us to let it be known that we deserve way more than what we get. And the only way to do that is to stand up in some way. We got to fight.
Thank you so much. So I think that if you guys would like to continue to do this, I believe that our next session for next steps should be a forum that's just, again, we hashed it out. We got our opinions out there. We got our feelings out there. We stated our perspective, and that's what this night was for. So I believe that was fruitful in that regard. But maybe we should do another forum that is just, kids, this is really happening. What's next? And we literally talk about ways to prepare our children for what's going on. We really prepare our kids for what, like I remember there was this movie that I saw recently where the guy was reading off how to respond to officers, how to this, how to that. I don't know what these things should be, but I know that as with the educators that are mainly in the room, maybe you guys can come up with a skeleton on what we think that we should be educating our kids with as far as kids, this is really happening. What's next? So we can know how to educate our kids and educate our parents that we're connected to. And then if the educators can build that skeleton, then everybody else, the OGs, the bishops, a bishop. And then possibly even after that, the next one should then be economic reform. Black ties, economic reform. And we start building a skeleton around that, and then all of us get together again, and we start chiming in with our differences and our opinions. And then we start developing a work plan from that. And then lastly, definitely war. We have to be very selective with how we define war. Is it mental war? Is it emotional war? Is it spiritual war? Is it spiritual warfare? And how can we equip ourselves with the multi-layered and the multi-systems within the war that we're trying to combat? If you guys agree with me, then Dame, we can continue to use your platform, and Dame, you can reach out to other influencers who can also use their platform, and everybody else in here who have influencers that can unify their platforms. And let's start bringing them to the table as well. And then we start just keep making the message bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the way, by that therapeutic definition, this is a coalition. What we did tonight is the exercise and the work of what a coalition is all about. You don't agree, and you do agree, but you spit out meat. You eat meat, you spit out bones, and you continue the conversation, and then you go back into where you're most effective, and you apply what you can. Last, I think, is Simone Nichols, and that should have been just my conclusion, but we got Simone next, so hopefully I don't have to talk much after this. Go ahead. Simone, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, are you there? Okay, Samuel Pierre, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me just check the chat one last time to make sure no one tried to exit out. We can continue to practice spirit of inclusion. Danielle,
Good night, everyone. Danielle did speak. Nisha, yes. Okay. I think we're at our closing. Anyone else that didn't speak that needs to step forward? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone has spoken. Tom, you're gonna walk us through the closing, and then Dame, you're gonna fully close us out. I believe I gave my closing speech. I think this next thing should be those 3 areas: kid, economic, continuing on the war on systematic racism as it relates to police brutality and systematic racism in general. Because what we've learned tonight is that this systematic racism is not just in our judicial systems, it's not just in our political systems, it's also in our education system. As a former child protective specialist myself, I've seen it in child welfare. That's why I created my own foster care agency myself. So these things are common threads in all systems. So that's my conclusion with my little closing speech. Gosh, Dame, full closeout, and it's a wrap.
First of all, I just want to thank everybody for coming through, allowing me and Melody and Dame to moderate and host. As a black man, as an Afro-Latino man, I will continue to be the change, like another gentleman said, that I want to see, that I want to bring forth. As a therapist and a future doctor, I will also continue to create a safe space, a non-judgmental space for my folks and the young people to be able to, hash out their frustrations and feel safe doing it and not feel weak to talk about their emotions and things like that. To all the educators that are here, again, I talked about coping methods. I think that's where we start. A lot of the things that we're talking about focused around reactions and how to control our reactions. These are things that I think that we need to start very young. And for those of us that are adults, we also need to start to address our emotions and not just sit on them and not just disassociate from them. That way we're able to breathe and kind of slow things down and react in a way that's not self-destructive but progressive. So with that being said, I look forward to the next forum. And again, I want to thank all of y'all for everything that y'all doing in the community, and continue to play your part. Not all of us have the same roles, but whatever your role is, master it and teach the next person how to master their role, young and old. So, and like I said, I want to continue to be an example by doing it myself. If I'm talking about y'all making sacrifices, I want to step up and be able to make those sacrifices myself. So, thank y'all. 100.
Thank you so much, Dame Dash.
I'd like to end this on how I feel. I feel powerful. I feel like we fought today, and I feel like we fought the right fight. I felt like we spoke and we actually came with solutions. I felt like I got direct answers. I felt like I was in a room with so many intelligent people that I've been around. I've been in a lot of rooms, a lot of different kind of power. This is the most powerful. And self-awareness is very important to me in my platform. I just think everyone that's been on this Zoom should be aware that you made history tonight, that you fought tonight, that you fought the right fight tonight, that you led by example tonight, and that you show everyone you know this with pride, that you made history, and show everyone else how to fight. And let's continue to do this, and let's show some action, because that's overall what I'm about. I heard everyone's perspective, and everyone's perspective, I found a common ground. Love. We all love. And that's what we're fighting for. And also understand that this whole thing is not very good for business in this moment. We have to find the light in the dark. Make it good for business, some way, shape, or form. Economic power is everything. And don't fight when we're hurt. Fight and make it a lifestyle. Make it comfortable. Because that's what I've been doing every day. I don't internalize. And today I feel like a lot of people release. That's therapeutic. Release every day and you will be happy. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate y'all and I love y'all. And yes, now we are family.
Thank you. Salute.
Thank you very much. Again, I'm just so proud of everybody for everything that came out of tonight. And I don't want it to stop here. I really don't. I want us to come back together for the next 3 parts. And I want you guys to continue to be vocal about your position. I don't want you to change who you are at all. I think everyone in here brought an element to this forum, this platform that was unique, but sincere and honest and truthful. And at the end of the day, we were all able to still be respectful. We were still able to converse. And right now, the world doesn't know how to properly, effectively communicate with one another. But if anything, what we've shown tonight is how to model that. And in modeling that, we need to use this energy in this way to take back to the common people that we speak to. Savannah area is supposed to be in bed. Saying that to say, let's continue the discussion and let's please not disconnect, but hold on closer. Okay, please don't change who you are. Not one person in here. I don't want any of you to change who you are in terms of what you brought tonight. If something that someone else said in here affected you in a way where now you have the wheels turning, embrace that. I would love to see feedback on that next time. Again, I'm going to look at the transcript. Dave, people have also now re-added emails, so make sure Nicolette or your admin now copy and paste, because I'm not able to do it right now by playing moderator. So I can review, analyze, assess, and use my skill sets to put data together for us so we can be better prepared for the next time. And this is what organization is about. This is what building coalitions are about. And thank you so much for trusting in us. Some of you did not know us. Some of you did not know what you were getting into. Some of you knew agendas but still had questions. Some of you saw the agenda and the ground rules but still had hesitance. And you came anyway. And our mission in all of this is to educate our minds, to stir hearts, to then to activate will. My mentor, A.R. Bernard, taught me that from very young. Educate the mind so it can stir your heart and so it can activate your will. And that's where action comes into play. Thank you very much. I love all of you guys. And I think we're connected and interconnected spiritually. I bless all of you, and we will continue this discussion. Dame, everybody got everything out of the chat? Okay.
Nicolette, we got everything.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna count to 10. I count to 15 on purpose, just so anyone else who needs to add their email should do it now in that chat. Have Nicolette copy and pasting. 15, and then we'll all just click on leave. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10.
I love y'all.
8.
Good night,
7,
everybody.
6.
Good night.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Peace and blessings. Law enforcement unplugged.
Good night. Thank you for
I'm not gonna lie, that shit was heavy.
Damn, that's your dog tripping?
Yeah, he tripping. They want to go on the walk after curfew.
Yo, just want to say I appreciate you participating, man. You need to make legislation dope on your TV network so people can pay attention to that, which really affects them, man.
That's what we doing, bro. Trust me.
Yeah, I see you. A matter of fact, I'm not going front. I'm a subscribe.
All right. I appreciate that. Check it out.
So thanks again, everyone. Have a good night.
My man. That was hard. Pause, you know? Real action. Real action. legislation means understanding a law that needs to be passed and then lobbying for it and seeing it through. So, again, I'm not trying to complain. I'm trying to come with some answers. You feel me? Thank y'all for sticking around. That was 3 hours. I got to go walk the dogs. Holla.